Hey, what's up? Coach Renz on our Thursday talk. This Thursday talk actually, we get some people some time to get in here before we get started. Uh, this talk is interesting to me. It's been a bunch of things. This is a combination of a couple of conversations over the last few days. Actually the last few weeks. Some things I've heard. Let me tell you a couple of things we're going to talk about today. Go ahead and give you the scoop. One, I've had this had a guy come in. He showed me this video of this pastor who claimed that he died, went to hell, and saw hell and came back and realized why he went to hell. A gentleman on my Facebook, he posted that on his psychedelic journey, he met God. We're going to talk about that. And we're going to talk about my own personal psychedelic journey. Tell you who you really meet when you take a psychedelic journey. Now, let me go ahead and say, I am in no way, shape, or form, and I will repeat this, advocating that anyone utilize any illegal substances. So I will talk about shrooms. You can talk about shrooms. Or whatever else you do. I had an invitation to go do an ayahuasca journey next month. But unfortunately, I will not be able to participate. So, yeah, I feel some kind of way about that. Because I would like to go. So, really what we're talking about is near-death experiences and people utilizing, and if you're going to do anything psychedelic, it needs to be natural psychedelics. But people taking journeys. I know plenty of people who've taken journeys. Peace, how you doing, Prince? Prince Nassim. Well, if you was Prince Nassim Hamed, we'd have a conversation. That was my guy back in the day. Y'all probably don't know who Prince Nassim Hamed is. That was my guy back in the day. That was my guy. Anyway. Shit. Through Prince Nassim Hamed in there, I just lost my damn train of thought real quick. But so what at the base core, what the hell what are you dealing with here? All right. Of course, everything has to have science behind it. How you doing, Debbie? What's up, James? How's everybody doing? Grand rising. Shout out where you at. I always like to know where people are coming from, hailing from. You got all these stories out here. People talking about how they had this near-death experience. I've had this near, or they don't even say near death. They just say I died, and I went and I saw heaven, or I went to hell. There was this story a while back. I gotta light my cigar in a minute here. There was this story a while back about this little white boy. I think he was in Alabama, Mississippi, somewhere like that. He died, and his family was racist. He supposedly died, and then he went to heaven, and there was nothing but black people there. And he came back, and his parents were pissed off because there wasn't nothing but black people when it was there. Greetings and salutation, yo. I'm gonna say your name wrong on Facebook. Balon Tiku. If I'm saying it right, let me know. Balon Tiku. Part of this is your fault while we're having this discussion. I love your response to the guy Stephen Griffin's comment. That's part of why we're having this discussion. It was a great comment, great response. It goes right in that mindset of what I was going to say. So what are my thoughts on Islam? It's just like any other religion. It's created by man based on a small universal truth, and then expounded based on the culture and the ruling class of people of the day. And it was also very patriotic. I don't know what was about to say patriotic. It's male dominant and discounts the value of women. But I don't think it's like it's not the true word of God, nothing like that. I don't think anybody owns the true word of God in any book. When I look at the history of Islam, and it didn't take much for me to recognize Islam was not something that I wanted to study in great depth, so I don't know a whole lot about it. But when I saw how Ibn Sahi and Malik originally used Islam to create what became the Arab nation, and then the forced indoctrination thereafter. But I don't know a whole lot about Islam. But it's just another religion to me, something man-made. Just Bolo. All right, Bolo. From old school. So Bolo, that's Bruce Lee. Oh, wait, was that Bolo? Yeah, Bolo. Yeah. All right. So, Alexander. So, we had this little Texas. You got the little boy. He dies. He goes to heaven, and these people are believing that this little boy actually died and went to heaven. You have this pastor recently, and I guess the guy brought it up in the lounge because Rihanna was performing for the Super Bowl, so he brought up the fact that hey Janine, how you doing? He brought up the fact that this pastor showed me the video. It's about a 5-minute video. The pastor says that he had a heart attack. He thought he was having a heart attack, and he said that he died. Right? Reading the Quran is not going to change my views. If the history of the book is invalid, then the book to me is invalid. Plus the subjugation, plus you tax everybody outside of Islam. You tax them, or you kill them, or force them. Any kind of jihad, those types of things will keep me away from any book. Yeah, so it's not even worth my. I have read it. Let me go ahead and say that I have read the Quran from front to back. For about 2 years, I read it, but that was 30 years ago. So don't ask me. I can't remember everything I read. But anyway, so we're going to stick to subject matter. We're not talking about the Quran today. This pastor, he says he had this heart attack. He said that he went to hell, which he was surprised when he got to hell. I don't know why he's surprised that he went to hell. Many of these people who think that they're going to go to some type of heaven, they know that mentally, that in their true heart of hearts, they know they're going to hell. They know they're going to manifest and create their own hell. But so this pastor says that he went to hell. And when he first got to hell, there was a demon. There was this man. He was on all four knees. He was on all four knees. He was on all fours, hands and knees. And he was burnt from head to toe, and he had a dog collar around his neck with a chain, and there was a demon that was holding him, and the demon was telling him that, I don't know if he said the demon is symbolized, and that's what he thought, or the demon actually said, but he said that it represented, the demon was saying, I have been riding him, controlling him his entire life on earth, and now I'm riding him and controlling him in hell. Or he just was riding him on earth, and then when that guy gets to hell, he's going to keep riding, right? So then he said that after that, he went to another room, and in this room, they was playing all this music, and it was all the music that we listen to today, and the lyrics, but instead of the artist singing the songs, it was the demons who were singing the songs, right? And as the demons were singing the songs, they were sending those demons were singing those songs. And the songs, he named 3, but I only remember 2. He said, my Guy McFarlane song, Don't Worry, Be Happy. They were singing that. And they were singing Rihanna's song, Umbrella, right? And so he went on to explain how when these artists, they take these drugs, these mind-altering drugs, that they're communicating with the demons, and the demons are giving them these songs. The demons are giving them these songs for them to be able to then sing to us. And that all these songs are demonic songs. If you ain't singing for the Lord, then you're not, then everything is demonic. So Don't Worry, Be Happy is a demonic song according to this man. All right. He said, I'm so glad I found your page. Thank you, Sky Daddy. But so let's digest that for a second. Let's digest it for a second. Y'all digest that for a second. And all the songs you listen to, if it's not for the Lord, it's demonic. So for my Islamic brother over there who's trying to talk about Islam, but we're not talking about that today. All your hymns, your songs are demonic according to this pastor. And it just so happened Rihanna was singing. I mean, the dude, even though he said this a couple of months ago, we already knew that Rihanna was going to be the person who was going to perform at the Super Bowl. So, you know, it's not. It's a little iffy. It's got a little wonkers, you know, to it. Oh, stuck in Orlando, man. It's warmer down there than it is here. Oh, you're from the New Mexico? That's hot. New Mexico. If y'all have never been to New Mexico is beautiful. All the bluffs and plateaus. New Mexico is beautiful. It's like right out of a Western. It's beautiful. Anyway, so all these songs, he's saying that when you drink the alcohol, when you smoke the weed, when you do the psychedelics, and he presupposed that all these artists, that all their lyrics are coming from some demonic place. Now, first problem with his whole deal, there is not every artist is taking some kind of drug or psychedelic or alcohol to write. Back in my 19, 20, 21, 22, I fancied myself trying to break into, you know, while I was in the military, I wanted to be into the music game. And I wrote some songs, right? Well, I wrote some rap songs. I ain't writing those, not any ballads. And trust me, there were no psychedelics involved. There was no alcohol involved. There was no weed involved. There was nothing altering involved. And so, but according to this man, my music was for the devil. My man, I think Posthumous just passed away this week. Hurt my feelings with Posthumous passing. De La Soul. So all of De La Soul music is demonic. Q-Tip, Tribe Called Quest, demonic. Brand Nubians, demonic. Jungle Brothers, demonic. Queen Latifah, demonic. Leaders of the New School, demonic. Evidently, I really love Native Tongue. So, you know, Moni Love, it's all demonic. Native Tongue was a shit, you know. But that music that inspired my generation to do better, be better, to look inside yourself, to gain deeper understanding. The X-Clan, Sissies, was demonic. Come on, man. But according to this dude, anything, and all these songs are demonic. You ain't singing for the Lord. You know, all the love songs, all them Lionel Richie love songs, them Luther Vandross's, Barry White, all of that is demonic according to this pastor. Funkadelic knee deep. So some songs are kind of demonic, but the symbols gives it all away. All right. Now, I will grant you that there is some music out there that is not good, it's not healthy, it's not mentally uplifting, it's not spiritually uplifting. There's some music out there that I didn't let my kids listen to, and I didn't listen to. Like all this mumble rap that they got out today, I don't listen to it at all. And I think we got to go deeper into what symbols mean before we start to say that a symbol is demonic, because some symbols are not, but they're claimed to be. Like the swastika was originally it's a Buddhist Hindu symbol that means peace and unity. It does not mean what they made it mean. So before we get into any symbols like that, we got to start breaking them down and really understand it. You know, if you look at the Baphomet, you might want to take a deeper look than just what, since I understand that the Church of Satan adopted it, but you might want to look at what it was originally created for. You might want to look at what the pentagram was originally created for. You might want to get a deeper understanding between the different, if you're looking at the pentagram, understand the difference between a sheep and a goat and what they actually symbolize anciently and not what they symbolize more modernly. And you might come away with a different understanding of some of these things. Right? All deflections focus on your own energy. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't understand what you mean by that one, bro. Books. Was it Brooks? Booski? Okay, I'm gonna mess your name up, my man. I need a short name to call you. I don't like messing up people's name. I like calling people by the name that they want to be called by. That's why, I too have a major problem in general with the simplistic depiction of in religion, where things are either inherently bad or good, nothing in between. Exactly. There's nothing in between. I heard the peace symbol was actually a death rune. I had to look that one up. But let's get through this. Let's get down in this. Psychedelics. Well, so we have all these near-death experiences. So he was saying that that's where all that music came from. Then he woke up. He was realized. He was realized. And he was here. And he realized that the reason why he didn't go to heaven is because he still had unforgiveness within his heart for people who had done him wrong, right? And so now he's changing all that. Grandmaster Flash, Melly Mel, that's what you're talking about. But so he had his unforgiveness. So he realized he needed to change his ways, which is good. I'm glad that he realized he needed to change his ways. But this little boy and this pastor, since they did not do psychedelics, then what is it that they experienced that they claim to have met angels and demons, that they claim to have met God, and they went to heaven and they went to hell? What's the real? Well, let's look at it scientifically. Let's look at it naturally, what happens. So every night when you get ready to go to sleep and you dream, right? The reason why you dream is because your pineal gland releases a small amount of DMT, right? Now you say another dimension, we'll get to there. But your brain releases a small amount of DMT, and that DMT allows your brain to go beyond the physical form. It allows it's like it opens this doorway so that you may be going into a different dimensional plane, but it allows you to dream, right? What happens when you die or have a near-death experience is that your brain releases a tremendous amount of DMT. When your brain releases that DMT, it's like you are like you're on a psychedelic mushroom trip, right? Because now your brain is wide open. Your subconscious is wide open. It's like when we're in our conscious state, you're trapped into this poverty of the meat suit, right? But only when you can understand how to meditate to a degree where your brain releases more DMT, or you use some kind of psychedelic, that doorway, that the veil is lifted. It enables your spirit mind to be able to astral project, to travel to other dimensional planes, to go deeper inside yourself. This is what people are trying to experience, right? But you're having DMT dropped into your brain. Dimethyltryptamine, right? It's a natural thing. The people who invited me to go down and to do some ayahuasca, on an ayahuasca journey with a shaman next month. I can't go. My son's graduating from the Air Force, so I can't. Air Force boot camp, so I can't go. But ayahuasca, they realized they had this plant. It was pure DMT. It was like plant version of DMT. But they would take it and it wouldn't work. And then they got another plant. They merged the two plants, and that created ayahuasca. So it's a drink. Before you do it, you're supposed to take at least 7 days to cleanse your entire body of all toxic things. No drinking, no drugs, no meat. Total cleanse of the body. Meditate consistently for during that week. You get down there. And then once your body is purified, then you take the ayahuasca and you go on your journey. In these journeys, most people come back and say they no longer fear death because they realize that there's no such thing as death. But it's this idea that they say that people are saying I seen God, but that's what DMT is in a natural form. So when you do this, when these people are having these near-death experiences, and kind of like this gentleman, Stephen Griffin on my Facebook, he said that on his psychedelic journey, he met God and found out that Jesus and God is the way. That Jesus, I think he said Jesus is not God. Bolo gonna correct me if I'm wrong on this one, but I think he said that Jesus is not God, there's no triune God, but that Jesus is the king on earth and God is the king in heaven. And that's why it's the kingdom. He's the kingdom over everything, rather. The Father is the kingdom over everything. And that I need to get down on my knees, pick up my cross and follow Jesus, Yeshua, because that's the way. Because he met God. I don't know everything about psychedelic trips. What I do know and have experienced, and what I've done in my research and interviewing other people before I ever did a psychedelic trip, I wanted to know as much as I possibly can about it. So I researched it like I was trying to get a PhD in it. And in that research, one of the things that I realized is that when you have DMT washing over your brain, whether it's a near-death experience or it is through magic mushrooms, you go deeper within yourself. That the veil between your conscious brain and your subconscious brain is washed away. That the real you is revealed. You know, when people ask me about it, about like, man, I'm thinking about doing this, I always tell them, if you live in fear, when you do this, you're going to experience those fear at its true and highest levels. If you live with anxiety, you're going to experience those anxieties at its truest and highest levels. Whatever you truly are is what's going to be truly revealed when you go through this. Now, there are ways to meditate and get into a certain mind frame so that there's a certain things that you focus on. And then there are certain psychedelics, certain shrooms that do certain things for you. Like they're teachers and blue meanies, and they do different things for you. Some of them allow you to, is more about astral traveling or going deeper, while the other one, teachers, is about learning and opening your mind to have an understanding of something. Again, I am not promoting that anybody do psychedelics, do anything illegal drug. I did it, still do it from time to time, but I'm not telling anybody to go do it. When I saw that Neil deGrasse, that he was talking about, that he does them, I was like, okay, this is not a stupid man. So let me investigate this even more. But and then I found out that all these people back in the day, your Albert Einsteins, a lot of your inventors, your Sir Isaac Newton, your alchemists back in the day, John Dees and all these, your Imhotep. And you can even find it in some of the Bible when the fumigation that Esther went through, there's different hints of these things happening with different people throughout time and history that is talked about. In the Mesoamerican, the Buddhists, you see they are different symbols that represents them utilizing psychedelics and things of that nature. So when I researched and saw all of this body of work, I was like, okay, let me try this. And one of the things I realized is that you go deeper in your mind. So there was an experience that I had in my first mushroom experience, that I could have walked away from it and said that I met God, because that's what I was asking. The entity that was leading me through the journey, I asked that entity, show me the creator. Show me the creator. And what it showed me was a mind. And it showed things that die going in and things being redone and coming back out. And I realized, at first I thought, wow, that's the creator's mind. That's the creator's mind. That's the mind that created it all. And then, but as we was going through, and then I started receiving this download of information, and I realized it's not the creator's mind. It's my mind, that I'm deeper within myself and seeing how things live and die and re-engineer themselves in my mind, how they go through what the energy input and the energy output in my mind, the creations that my mind has the ability to create. I realized it was me that I'm seeing. So when these people are having these near-death experience, they're seeing themselves. And I read thousands of people's not reviews, experiences on psychedelics, on near death, and all of it is them seeing more of themselves. My man on here was asking about Islam. When I read accounts of Islamic people having near death, everything was Islamic driven. When a Christian has it, it's Christian driven. When Hindus and Buddhists have them, it's driven based on their culture and based on their religion. It's never this one definitive thing. The reason why people keep saying I saw a light and I walked into that light is because you've heard that 50 different times. So it's ingrained in your brain long before you ever decided, or long before you ever have this near-death experience. It's already in your mind. You've already heard it so many times that you don't even think about it. You don't even realize how many times you've heard it. And so when I saw a light and I walked toward the light, that's what's in your mind already right now. So if you have a near-death experience, what do you think you're going to see? You're going to see a dark room, and you're going to see a little light, and you're going to walk towards the light because your mind is already pre-programmed for it. And so when you do these psychedelics, that's what you're doing. You're opening your mind. You're not meeting God, meeting angels, because why all the angels always look like what they look like as far as civilization has decided they look like today. They never look like what the actual Bible says that they're supposed to look like. They always dress, look the same way as we have images today that people draw of them. That's what they always look like. So now I got a question. Has anybody on here ever had a near death or psychedelic journey? Just a question. Want to know what the man say? He said ask projecting. Well, that's kind of cool. I think Jesus was some sort of good. I think Jesus has some good advice, but the Bible's kind of crazy. I agree. I did a video about that yesterday. That there are some things that I do agree that's in the book, while I don't agree with the book in itself. Say you wish you had more DMT. That's why there are mushrooms. But I'm not advocating that you go and do mushrooms. Some people speculate that the manna in the Bible is actually mushrooms. Yeah, I've heard people speculate that it was mushrooms, but more than likely it was bird and insect feces. So wow, that's kind of cool. I had a great idea that we should all. I really should get my glasses. We are all part of a giant mind, and we are all like the fractals of the creator, and go out and experience life in 3D. Yeah, that's one of the things I talked about in that video that I talk about a lot, actually, that we dwell in the consciousness of the mind of the mind of the creator. And then, but the creator is not Geppettoing everybody and manipulating your life, that all these things are built. All the laws of the universe are put forth, and it is up to us to use it. We are aspects of that creative mind, and built in the same format where we have a creative mind, and we have chosen. It is not that the creator have chosen to have an experience, that the creator needs to have this earthly experience. We, in our consciousness and our, spirit mind, decided to have this experience, right? I saw a golden orb once. Okay, it was huge and went through the walls. Were you on a psychedelic when you did that? The Old Testament has better life advice than anything. Jesus says if we're keeping it a Buick, a buck. Where are my damn glasses? If we're keeping it a buck, I don't know what we're keeping it a buck means. But the Old Testament does not have the best advice for life. The Old Testament tells you how you should keep your slaves and the rules to your slave. It tells you how a raped girl should have to marry her rapist. It tells you how children should be stoned if they call a dude baldy, or if they speak out against their parents. It tells you to genocide entire villages and towns. No. So you've had both. You've had near-death experience, and you've had the magic mushroom. I don't want to have a near-death. Well, I had near-death experience, but it was different. I was quite awake when it was happening, but that was a different type of situation. That was a helicopter crash in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. Well, it wasn't in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, but it was in the Atlantic. That was a little like, I'm not going to die kind of experience. The Old Testament is trash. I agree. If you follow the dead men in a book, is that a living truth? If you follow dead men in a book, is that a living truth? No. Right. Exactly. It's not. It took me a second to gather what you were saying, but it's not. No. I don't understand how we follow dead people who wrote a book based on the culture that they were living in their present, and then we want to apply that to our present, when their culture, their ideas, their lifestyle, their mindset, their technology, their philosophies were of theirs, and they are dead back then. They're not alive today. It doesn't apply to today, but we force it, because just like the Romans were enamored by the antiquity of the Greeks and everybody else, we're still enamored by antiquities instead of being enamored by the fact that freaking tree has roots that go down and gather the water and nutrition from the soil. The leaves are gathering sunlight. No branch is so foolish that they fight amongst each other for sunlight. But like how humans, we fight for resources when the resources are abundant. To marvel at the tree, to marvel at the river, the mountain, the way the planet moves. No, let's focus on 2,000 years ago dudes who said that if you even think about having sex with a woman, you've already created adultery in your mind. Well, goddamn. Y'all not controlling every thought that y'all have. That wayward thought that thought just gonna come. Every time I see somebody bending over, pick something up, I want to push them over. But it's not like I'm gonna go do it. There's a difference between thinking something and doing something, right? That's why people who claim they're gonna manifest something, it doesn't manifest, because they just thinking about it. They ain't doing it. I mean, think about that. People say, I want to manifest this, I want to manifest that. But they never do anything to manifest it, so it never happens, right? So if action is required for manifestation, if your book is telling you that faith without works is dead, then how in the hell, if I have a thought about a woman, is the same as me having the sex with the woman? If I'm not having the sex, I'm not putting anything into action. I haven't manifested it. So what kind of cockamamie bullshit is that? but it's a great way to keep people in fear of their immortal soul so that you will stay under the religion, hoping that you've been saved by either through the blood or through the prayers or through the meditating or through the worship of the different aspects of Brahman and all these other kind of things, instead of you just recognizing that you manifest it all. Just like when you take a DMT trip, you manifest it all. It's all showing you who you really are. I got a friend that thinks she's a demon, or why am I playing? Thinks that she's a demon, or her calls her man a demon on her, cause her man always in and out of jail. I told her that's BS. Now your man is always in and out of jail because he's breaking the law, more than likely. He keep breaking the law. If you know, 9 times out of 10, you can get messed up. Some things do happen, but on the majority, you don't break the law, you don't go to jail. Your man is in and out of jail because of the actions that he's taking, because of the cultural mind that he got. Right? The fact that you still with him, see, that needs to be on my relationship podcast yesterday. The fact that she's still with him shows how much she does not love herself. See, it's not a demon that's on her. It's the fact that she don't love herself enough to say, this man going in and out of jail is not good for me. He doesn't qualify for what I need to have in my life. And that's why she keep it. It ain't a demon. It's the negative portion of her brain that doesn't allow her to love herself. No outside entity, just her. Exactly. We create our own reality. Each one of you who are listening right now, either on Facebook, on TikTok, and I need y'all to hit them like buttons on Facebook, TikTok. All right. And I need y'all to subscribe on YouTube, but I need y'all to hit them like buttons, especially the likes on TikTok, as that keeps anybody who wants to come in there and say, oh, I don't like him, I want to ban him. And it keeps them from being able to do that. Because I have had podcasts shut down because people get all in their emotions. And I need some hearts and stuff over here on y'all with Facebook, get it going. I don't know what stars do yet, but that too. I just seen them happen. Oh, stars support the channel. Stars financially support the channel. That's what that does. Bolo said, even if I'm having a bad eye day today. Even if it were true that God manifested himself to you, you have no way of proving that he did. Opposed to it simply being a fickle of your imagination. Okay. But yes, it's your imagination. You determine, these people who have these near-death things are determining what it is that they're experiencing based on what they already have a preset landing point for. If you don't have a preset landing point, so like the last time I took a mushroom journey, I did not have a preset landing point. I had one on the first one. On the first one, I wanted to discover something. But the last time I did, there's no preset landing point. I just wanted to see where my mind goes. I just wanted to see, like, I let my mind just go wherever it desired to go. Show me whatever it desired to show me, feel is whatever it want to feel. Just go and let's just take the ride. So I didn't predetermine what was going to happen. And it was a good time. It was a good time. Except that I was sensitive as hell. And my lady kept on messing with me. She kept on like rubbing my arm like that. And I was like, ha ha. Ooh. I was like, stop it. But super sensitive on those blue meanies. For me, my skin got incredibly sensitive. So it was like, don't touch me, nothing. But everything else was, that was great, but everything was great. But I let it go wherever it took me. Yes, all of us are creators, but our shared reality in this. I hate wearing these glasses all damn time. Yes, all of us are creators, but our shared reality, it's the result of our collective behavioral choices and whether or not They are aligned with morality, which is not subjective. The mind is powerful. We are living in a shared reality where we have all decided that is our shared reality. The fact that we have decided to coexist as we live in our own world, our own universe, because, oh shit, hey Pearl. I ain't seen Pearl in a long time. Love you, lady. I'm gonna get to whatever. I'm gonna look at yours in just a second. But we do have this shared. I talked about this in a video I did yesterday, like a 19-minute video. But we have this shared reality. We have our own reality. We have our own universe that we create. Every day, every choice, and it's always changing. Because it's always changing because we're experiencing something at every moment. Now, there's another person on the other side of the planet, or the person sitting next to you. They're having an entire universal experience that's different from your own, living in their own universe. My lady is at work right now. She's experiencing things that I will never experience, and those things will never, and some of the things she's experiencing will never, the majority will never affect me in any way, shape, or form. It does not interfere with my universe, doesn't bring it up, doesn't bring it down, does nothing for me. It is my universe. But we all decided in our spirit mind, decided to have our experiences right now at the same time on this earth. So as we're having this experience right now at the same time on this earth, it appears to be shared, but it's actually not shared because each person is existing in their own universe, their own world. And when I tell you that these people when people have these near deaths or they go do psychedelics, they're just expanding their own personal universe. They're not me. If you say you met God up there, the pastor who said he went to hell, if you say you went to hell, and for you, in your universe, hell has a man that's burnt from head to toe with a dog chain and a demon holding him and the demon riding him, and all the music is tormenting and only the gospel music. And mind you, he did like only gospel music. Only the gospel music is good music. Everything else comes from demons. Then that's his worldview. That's his worldview while he on earth. That was his worldview before he even left. Before he even had this experience. All right. I got to see what Pearl said. Hey, Coach Renz. If you have come through a near-death experience, so does that mean the individual manifested it? Miss you and hugs and love. Yes, I do. I miss you too. I miss my Pearl. Pearl gets some great hugs too, y'all. Y'all just don't know. Pearl used to get some great hugs. She got some big old boys too. They grown as hell now. But when you have those near-death experiences and that DMT is released over your brain is manifesting everything that you see, because that DMT is what allows you to dream every night. So everything that you see is something that is in your brain. You are seeing some of your absolute truth. Too True American Pearl is saying on YouTube that now he wants a hug from you. Well, I'm telling you, y'all, used to be one of the best things. I see Pearl like, I'm getting me a hug. But your brain, your brain is released, your brain is taking you into your most authentic versions of yourself. Realize, like we did a relationships yesterday, and when we was talking about relationship, one of the things I was saying was that if you want relationships, we could end a lot of the struggles that people have in relationships if they just be their true authentic self. That deep recesses of your mind where you are lying to yourself every day. There are certain things that you desire to do or be, but you're not, because you're worried about what other judgments that other people may have, and even your own judgment that you may have of yourself because of how you grew up and what you was conditioned to think life should be like. But when you go into that DMT, whether it's a near-death experience or it's a psychedelic mushroom, when you go into those states of being, those veils are gone. This is your true self. So you are truly manifesting what you truly believe. The reason why this pastor went to hell is because whether he would admit it or not, he was already feeling all this guilt from not having forgiveness for these people. So in his mind, he believed that he deserved hell. He didn't believe that he deserved heaven. He didn't believe it at all, even though he's a pastor. He didn't believe that. And most people who profess a religion don't believe they are worthy of the glory of heaven, of what they would call heaven. If you think about it, most Christians walk around saying that I'm a filthy, dirty rag, but Jesus made me clean. The blood of Jesus made me clean. I'm not worthy, but Jesus made me clean. No man could throw the and Pearl knows exactly what I'm thinking about probably. Pastor Grant used to always talk about, and Pastor Grant, I love that man. He's always talking about how, you can throw a rock from, and he always pointed me out. He was like, you can throw a rock from here to the apartments across the street. And Lorenzo can probably throw a rock from here even farther, but it always falls short of the glory. That's what people believe. I just thought about that, Pearl, only because I saw you. But think about it. You're being pumped with this thought process all the time. You're not worthy. You're not worthy. You're not worthy. Nobody's good enough. Nobody's good enough. Nobody's good enough. And then when you take these journeys, when your mind is open, when you do die, your brain is actually more confident in the fact that you're not good enough than it is in the idea that you deserve to be in heaven. It's more confident in you're not good enough than your belief in Jesus or Allah or Brahma or any other deity that's supposed to bring you there, because there's more negativity pumped into the religions to make you think that you don't have any value, that you really don't believe it. So when this pastor saw that, see, the child went to heaven because children are different. They haven't been pumped with all this negativity yet. But the pastor went to hell. The person that I don't know how many people were leaning on for their spiritual deliverance went to hell because he had the negativity in his mind. I applaud your knowledge. I got to go back and catch up on your knowledge. Thank you, Pearl. Appreciate you. I wish I had known that about you when we was at Cold Street. We would have had a lot of conversations back then. But so your mind is that powerful, which is why you got to guard against what goes in your mind, which is why I tell people before you do any psychedelics, you really need to spend the time getting your mind right. Getting the fear, anxiety, and guilt out of your system, out of your mind, out of your consciousness before you do it, or at least have control over it. Right? Everybody has some of it, but have control over it. And I don't know if you guys ever watched the little TV series Lucifer, but one of the things, and I was like, yes, that's what I've been talking about, is one of the things that they said in there was that the Lucifer character was saying that what people don't realize is that the doors in hell are never locked, that people's own guilt keep them trapped in there, but they hold on to that guilt so deeply that no one has ever made it out, that you can actually leave. But because you feel guilty about something, and that guilt makes you feel unworthy, then that is what condemns you. I will go further to say, because when I would say it, I would say that your fear, your guilt, and your shame will hold you. Oh, fear, guilt, and shame and vengeance. Sorry. Fear, guilt, and shame and vengeance will hold you in a state where when you die, your ass is going to create and manifest your own hell, because that is what you're going to believe that you deserve based on these religions that you believe in, based on whatever philosophy you believe in. So if you don't want to, get rid of that shit. This is why I go by the chakra system, because it's a step-by-step to open those things up. It's not that I believe so wholeheartedly that is the only way, but that is an easy way, that it was an easy way for me to teach my children and anybody else around me, is that by opening your chakras, by recognizing what fears you have, what guilt you have, what shame you have, what vengeance you have, what lies you are telling yourself, um, what disconnections that you have with the entire universe, and then what all this shit you're holding on to on earth. Everybody wants to go to heaven, but nobody wants to die, right? This popped up, came in by itself, seemingly. Um, Raise Jehovah Witness talked about guilt, over it. Wise words. Appreciate that. Yeah, and that's what they do. They lay all this guilt on you. Let's go. Let go of guilt. Exactly. Um, wear glasses. Last comment from Kenneth. I'm referring more to the conditions of humanity as manifesting as a whole. Yeah, you're right. I'm with you, and I agree with you. You know, it's all manifested as a whole as far as the shared. I got you. I got to get my younger son to watch this one later. He sure needs it. Thank you. I'm glad that I can be of service. I am not disputing the unique experience of the individual as unique, right? And everybody's experience is unique. It's when they try to put it forward towards everybody that this is what everybody's experiencing, that I saw God, and so that makes God real. That makes Jesus real. That makes Jesus the only way, the truth, and the life. You know, it is that. Um, let go of guilt. Your guilt paid for whatever your issues are. Exactly. Like I used to feel really guilty about some things that I've done, but then I realized how much of a price I already paid for those. So, you know, I paid that price to where there was a big old fat tip. They got a big fat tip, you know. But now I don't feel guilty about anything. Right? There's no guilt that dwells in me. And if I do something that creates guilt again, then I will recognize that, you know what, I made a mistake. I apologize. I actually committed myself to true repentance and fixed whatever the situation is to my best ability. And then I forgave myself and I'm good. You was JW for a few years, then you left. I almost became a JW when I was in the 8th grade because this little girl that I wanted to date, she was a cute little thing. And she was a JW. And that was the only way you can date her. Her father was not going to let you date her if you wasn't JW. Religious colloquialism, but I got to say amen. That's cool. To be human is to make mistakes. Exactly. We're going to make mistakes. Guilt is how you are controlled. Right. Guilt is like the most, fear. People have the fear of hell. That worked initially for the Roman church when they first started the concept of what Christianity's version of hell. But then they realized that guilt was even better. And guilt was a thing that really just makes you stay stuck in the mud. You know, you can't get yourself out. But I will say this, as people, as I said earlier, people who have done ayahuasca journeys walk away from it without a fear of death anymore. And if you don't fear death, then that means you don't fear hell. And that's one of the components that they talk about. And if you go watch a lot of those people's interviews or read their statements and things of that nature, they no longer fear death because they no longer fear hell. They realize that it doesn't exist for them anymore. And that's the thing about it. If something doesn't exist from you anymore, then for you, it does not exist. You see, there's a person on the other side of the planet. For me, that person doesn't exist, but they actually exist. But for me, in my world, my universe, they don't exist at all. They will live and they will die and they will go, transition, and they will go on to do and be whatever else in some other astral plane of the universe, doing whatever. They might come back to this joint and do it again. They might go to a whole nother planet and be a whole nother being and do something else. They might just stay energetic. They may do a world of things, but it will never affect my universe unless I come in contact with them. but they can go on for eons and eons doing and experiencing and never affect my universe. So to me and my universe, they don't exist. The only thing that exists in my universe is that which is before me, that which I can experience, the people that I meet, the places I go, the foods that I eat, the smells that I smell, things that I touch, all my experience. That's what's real. That's what's real. And when I depart from this place, I haven't decided yet if I want to come back. Sometimes I want to come back, sometimes I don't. It depends on what we're talking about. There's some technologies that I haven't seen yet. Where's my flying car? Waiting on some of that, you know. But yet there's billions of things in the universe to experience. So I'm kind of waiting. What is the title of your podcast? This one today is, are you saying I'm getting off subject, Pearl? This one today is I met God on a psychedelic journey. Really? So, and the really is like, really, you know, I had a near-death experience and I met God, or I met the devil. Really? Because that's not who you met. You met yourself. As I say oftentimes, the true devil is the negative portions of your brain. It's your own self. It's the part of yourself that causes you to go out and do exactly the things you know you shouldn't do. The things that creates the calamity and the havoc in your life. That's the true devil of you. It's in your brain. It's you. And it's the same way the true God in your brain is you. Is you. Is your morality. Is you not saying, when you get to a point where you can say that the reason why I don't steal is because I don't want to be stolen from. Think about it, if the world took those kinds of things. I'm not going to do to anybody what I would not want done to myself. If the world did that, I'm not going to go to war because I don't want people going to war on me. I don't want to steal, cheat, lie, murder, rape, any of those things because I don't want it done to me. If the world took that philosophy, the world would be a much better place. Much better place. I lost my entire family in one night when I witnessed when witnesses disfellowship with me. My daughter, my mother, my relatives, everyone from your childhood took mushrooms the first time a year ago and didn't fear death anymore by then. Now I fear practically nothing save being back where I started. And that is incredibly valid. And it is. I hear those experiences all the time. The mushrooms, they open you up so that you can see your true self. And when you see your true self, a lot of hangups that you have go away. Now it depends on how much you take, and you should have a monitor. You should have somebody teach you and work with you before you do anything like that. Although I am not advocating that anybody take any psychedelic drugs or any drug whatsoever. I think I got no reason. Oh, I had it. You got the notification because I had it up, but then something went wrong, so I took it down. Then I brought it back up again. Good morning, Michael. So don't do this by yourself. And then the experiences may be different. I know another person, I'm not going to say their name. They already kind of a chill person, but they a little goofy, right? They can be a little goofy, silly at times. So I thought the mushroom was going to bring more of that out of that person, but it didn't. They became super chill, like super chill. And then it was like, oh, some shapes. Huh. And they were just super chill. They were like way more chill than they are in their normal self. So it is not going to, and at the same, and for me, it was different. Now, the dosage was different. So you're going to get different experiences. Man, it must be time to change my contacts because this my vision. Usually I can just read all this stuff without, it's far enough back that I can read it. I see, where did I leave off on YouTube comments? I kind of think at times the earth is nope, right there. Oh, that the earth and all is hell. I don't believe in, right. The earth is, The earth can be heaven and hell at the same time. Hell isn't even early Christian literature. No, it's not. That's a developed doctrine, and Sheol just meant, was this valley, and you were just separated. You just cease to exist, is what the old Hebrew teachings were. You think the good glasses look good? I appreciate that. Awesome show. I'm kind of grown when it came to an end. Are you talking about yesterday or the day before? Yeah, JWs are very brutal in their judgment. It's like a lot of these religions like that. Think about it. Your religion is supposed to be about love, but as soon as somebody step outside of that religion, they leave that religion. You got to excommunicate the person. Now they become apostates. They become apostates at that point. Right? It's a bunch of hypocrites. Debbie was raised JW. My husband was raised as a JW, and 4 years met him, and we both left together. That's outstanding. Transliteration of the Jehovah is just the transliteration of the tetragrammaton. Yeah, it is. That's all it is. But of course, there's a whole doctrine surrounding this whole thing that they created surrounding it, all their rules of how to live and who you should, And then when the original teachings and this is how like they swerve you. In the original teaching, when it was just like 5 people, it was like, yes, and we are at the end times, and God is going to seal his 144,000. And once the J-Dubs got to 144,000, the end. But then when they went over 144,000, they started changing their doctrine and say, well, end is not yet. He's going to seal 144,000. But everybody else who's JW, you're going to live on the new earth. You're going to go to the new earth and the new king and the new city and all that kind of stuff. So they changed the doctrine. It was supposed to have been when you got to 144,000, the whole world was going to end, but it didn't end. So they had to change it. The Seventh-day Adventists had to do the same thing. Old girl predicted that, I forget her name right now, the end would come before she died. After she died, they had to have a whole conference to change the doctrine. Mormons used to say that black people gonna go to hell. Only way a black person can go to heaven is to go through this ritual, and then you'll be a servant of the white people in heaven. But Jimmy Carter said that if you don't let black people into the priesthood and stop teaching that shit, I'm gonna take away your 501c3, and they changed their religion. All this stuff is man-made, but this man-made stuff got us believing that when we have these experiences that actually opens our minds up to the universe, opens our mind up to the your divine, unconquerable, indestructible soul spirit that will live forever. What you experienced, what this pastor experienced, was Rihanna's song Umbrella was a demonic song. That was the Bobby McFerrin, Don't Worry, Be Happy, was a demonic song. Now, any song that ain't talking about the Lord is a demonic song. I guess, what was that, Boys II Men song, Mama? That's a demonic song. Because y'all giving praise to your mother and not to God. And y'all shouldn't be giving praise to your mama. Who is that lady? All she did was birth you. All she did was care for you. I can't even keep a straight face on that. I'm just saying. And I hate to be negative in this format, but he looked and sounded like one of those. I became a pastor because I woke up one morning and I had a calling, and now I'm a pastor, and I've read the book. I'm repeating and regurgitating everything that I was taught. I ain't studied nothing. I'm just regurgitating. But you know what? My church size is small. I'm losing people or whatever. And I'm the old Baptist fire and brimstone. So let me come up with something that'll get interest, so I can get some people to watch, and then I can get people to come in here, because they're gonna prop me up as I've been to hell, so I know how to stay out of hell. I wouldn't be surprised he started talking about chakra since he was talking about he has this unforgiveness in him and this guilt. Yep, can I agree? Yes, you're right. The part of us that part of us that is our uniqueness is our eternal soul. I don't fear physical death. I am not my body. I am. Exactly. I agree 100%. You are not the poverty meat suit. You're not. And when I did my so I did a different kind of psychedelic back in my 20s. And that's when I realized that um, there's no such thing as death, and that I control my universe. I control what happens here and after. I've been here before kind of deal. I realized that way back then. And then I just didn't do anything for a long time. And then in more recent time, I rediscovered the magic mushroom. Right? And it's just it solidified everything that, well, it's just reminding me of everything that's been before. Information has been coming a lot easier and faster. Uh, you know, by doing that, microdosing is an amazing thing for focus. You know, there are other natural healing properties of these things as well. Wyatt, most of the 144,000 were alive in 1914, and the witness thought that the end would come before the generation passed away. Now they're gone. The teaching changed. Be spiritual, loving, human. This is what I'm talking about. Right there on it. That's how they keep changing it. Woo, no. I dropped acid 2 times and was not very exciting, but the reflective dots on the on, on the highway jumped up and were giant flowers. Ain't done it since. Yeah, I'm not messing with acid. Everything to me has to be natural. If it's not natural, I wouldn't mess with it. If it's addictive forming, I wouldn't mess with it. You know, I tell people all the time, you're not what you see in the mirror. You're not. You're not. Like, yeah, first, and so let me reiterate. I am not advocating that anybody go and do any illegal substances or drugs at all. I am not telling you to go do any of these things. I am not advocating for you to do those. You know, if you are going to go do them, please do them as responsible as possible. Definitely not while you're riding in the car. Even if you're the passenger in the car, don't do that. Passengers can reach over and do stupid stuff or distract the driver. Don't do that. That's dangerous. Be safe. Right. Never do that crap. Good. Um, yeah, that was ballsy. And that's on a safe location, exactly, for that kind of journey. Yeah, I wouldn't do it in the car. Um, when I do mushrooms, I do them at home. I do them at home. Um, I do them where there's nothing I can grab that would harm anybody that's close by. You know, it's usually at night so that when the trips are over, and it's trips plural are over, I'm gonna go to sleep. I can tell you this: make sure you got time if you're going to do any mushrooms, because for me, even how many grams did I take? Was it 3 or 4? I think it was 4. It might have been 4 grams that I took, which is a lot. I have a high tolerance for things. This is why, like, I don't drink. I don't really drink alcohol because I have such a high tolerance for alcohol that the it doesn't. It's not. It wastes money. It wastes too much money. How much I would have to drink to get tipsy, and when I do get tipsy, it's gone in 10 minutes. So I don't waste time for that. But when mushrooms can last in your system, uh, damn, Paris. Yeah, make sure you have facts, make sure you have time. She said it lasted the weekend. Damn, I'm missing out on the mushrooms. So, well, it depends on, okay, let me put it like this. The going in and out, okay, so when I take the mushrooms, you get this, I got into my euphoric state, which you might call high, being high. But you're not really high because your mind is already working on a heavy level. And then I would just be out of it, take a trip. And whether it's an astral projection trip or all kind of stuff going on kind of trip, but you're gone. You're not in that room anymore. You're somewhere else. You're experiencing this whole thing. That kind of in and out lasts about 4 hours for me. I've been told that for some people that in and out can last like 7-8 hours. It's relative to what you're taking and how much you take. But there's an experience, there's a heightened sensitivity, a heightened awareness that lasts for like another 2 days for me. But it's based on what you're taking, your body chemistry, and how much you take. Paris says she missed work on Monday. God dog, girl. Says the best experience you ever had. Yeah, it was. I'm so mad at myself. Well, not at myself. I really want to go and do this ayahuasca journey in March with these people I know. And I'm mad that I can't go. But there'll be another time I'll go. They were all on mushrooms back then. Yeah, when you do research, you find out that a lot of these philosophers, scientists, inventors, they were using mushrooms. People like Tesla. He was a mushroom dude. They talk about these pharaohs and Imhotep and and all these people. They mushrooming. Saying here Ken was not impressed, but the flowers were huge and very full of color. Oh yeah, now I can take the colors, the vibrancy of color. Like I literally could see the vibrational pattern of color. And I tell you this one part. Y'all gonna think I'm crazy. Y'all really think I'm crazy? You sure? You ready? Y'all want to think I'm crazy? I mean, I know some of y'all already think I'm crazy, but I'm going to tell you this one. In one experience, I absolutely went out of my consciousness and entered into the conscious state of an alligator. And it was different though. You know how if you think about if I was an alligator, like the emotional, rational, logical thought process you may think that you would have. But an alligator just has this pure instinctive state. And I was looking at this deer, like I'm gonna get this deer, I'm gonna get some dinner. But I wasn't thinking, I'm gonna get this deer, get some dinner. It was all instinctive of the movements, the flow, when to strike, the whole deal. Then at the point of the strike, I switched and I became the deer, escape. The escaping, I've always thought that maybe the deer, they have fear that jumps up in them and then they remember that fear. But no, it was just an instinctive movement of that's not good for me, and ran. And as soon as it ran and sat and it just started eating the grass, started eating the grass again. There was no thought of conversation, no thought of what happened. It was like that happened, but now that it's over, it's as if it didn't exist. It moved on with its day, with its life. But I felt that instinctive being, not nature, that instinctive being of the deer. It's not, the deer wasn't like, whoo, looking at the other deers, I'm saying, hey, whoo, Charlie, yeah, whoo, he almost got me that time. You gotta be careful by the water. No, it was nothing like that going on with the deer. It's just, it was just not the instinctive nature of living and moving and doing what you do. There's no remorse like the alligator eating the deer. There was no well, I was the octopus and I was eating something else. And there's no remorse. There's no like, oh, it's so sad I'm eating another animal, and none of that. You know, and the other animals who were like, oh shit, he ate Tommy. They wasn't like, oh shit, he ate Tommy. They were just like, it's life. It's just life. And they just continue to move on. While we sit and we worry and we fret over everything, we debate and we argue about everything, we can't let the next person next to us live their life without us trying to infer our own opinions and judgments and psychology on the other person. Oh, Africa is wrong because they are doing deals with China and Russia. That's only from the American perspective. From other parts of the world, their perspective is good. They're taking the best deal they can get. You know, whoever offering the best deal, would you not, if you've been offered a deal by two different people, or three, in this case, three different people, are you not going to take the best deal? Of course you're going to take the best deal. Why would you take the worst deal? You know? So, but we put all this on people instead of just letting people live, as long as they're abiding by the rule of whatever they do that does, do what you want to do. Just don't do something that's going to cause me to not be able to do what I want to do or cause harm to me. Then we good. I left my testimony in the comments on your last post, or do you want to discuss it now? You're just now getting here, Stephen. You are part of why I decided to do this. I changed what I was going to talk about today. I said that earlier. But here's the thing. What I don't do is circle debates. I don't do debates that just go in a circle. It's a waste of time. You're going to profess that Jesus is God is the only way, and that's the only way, and everybody else going to die and go to hell. They don't follow that way. And the Bible says, or I had this experience where I met God, and that's your experience. That's what you believe. That's what you believe. So I'm cool with that. Believe what you believe. You had your comment. I made this little comment. I followed up on what Bolo said, and we good. No malice, no anger, no fear, no nothing. It's just I used to do debate shows, and then I realized it's just not for me. You know, because you can't debate belief, right? You cannot debate belief. You cannot debate faith, because faith and belief does not have facts behind it. And at the end of the day, well, it'll have some facts. I mean, I said it'll have some facts, but it's not all facts. But at the end of the day, a person's belief is a person's belief. If you say that when you went and you met God, you can say that. I say you went and met your mind. You met yourself. You met what you truly, truly believe is reality. And for you, you believe, and then for me, it's like, well, for me, is the reason why you believe it is because what you have learned or heard. And you have learned and heard, we have learned and heard things that we don't even realize that we learned something from some outside source, because one, not many people remember anything that they learned from age 0 to age 3, 4. Our first memories usually start coming in 3, 4, 5, somewhere in that range. That's about as far back as most people can remember. But do you know how many things you learned during that time frame? We focus on things like you learn how to talk, you learn how to walk, that sort of thing. But what we don't get is that there's so many other things that you learned, and then as you got older, you just doubled down on it. It's not a debate. I'm saying what happened. I lived it. Okay, you know what? I don't know how to do this. I did it yesterday, but I can't figure out how to do it today. There's a way for you to come on and tell your experience, Stephen, because Stephen had a near-death experience, which is that, as I said earlier, scientifically, that's when that DMT is a tremendous amount of DMT is released into your brain. And then DMT is what allows you to dream, but it also allows you to go on psychedelic journeys. I did it yesterday. Share the broadcast, sent stars, audience. Maybe that's why. Oh, you don't come up in audience, Steven. I just see Bolo, Alexander, and Karen. I would invite you on, but I don't know how. You don't come up. I don't know if you don't follow the page. Maybe that's why you don't come up. But yeah, if anybody would like to come on and share their experience, if Paris, if you'd like to come on and share your experience, because you said that you did. I can't do it on YouTube. I don't know how to do that yet. I think I got to use my Zoom as a stream into YouTube, and then that would allow me to do it. I got to work on it. I feel sorry for Africa. I think folks use them and take advantage of them. Folks have been using them and taking advantage of them, but the new leaderships down in Africa has been actually doing better deals with other countries so that they can build Africa for Africans, so that they infrastructure and they can start catching up. You have to look at it in the same way, the same way that Japan back in the after the Civil War time frame, that after being in 263 years of isolation, it took them bringing everybody else in from all over the world for them to catch up to the world. Yeah, I do have comments coming in from multiple platforms. Right, did I miss something? Yeah. All right. Okay. Thank you, Stephen. There you go. I think we're gonna hear Stephen's near-death experience, and we're not gonna judge him. Make sure the volume's up good. Stephen,
what's up?
How you doing? Nice to meet you. Now we're on 3 different platforms, so make sure you speak up loud enough so that everybody can hear you. Okay. And Stephen disappeared. Okay, Stephen was there, but he might have hit the wrong button or something. What can you do? But let's see if I missed any of it. All right, let's see. We're gonna try Stephen again. Said his phone is. All right, you there?
My apologies. I hit a button.
All right, but make sure you speak loud. Are you in a place where you can speak loud?
Wi-Fi, so it's not the best spot, but I'm gonna take it.
I think everybody can hear you.
All right.
So you had a in your comment on one of my videos, you said you had a near-death experience, right?
It wasn't near death.
Oh, what was it? No, you said a mushroom journey. Sorry.
Say what?
It was a psychedelic journey, is what you said.
Right. Yeah, it was one of my experiences. Yeah. There's a lot that led up to it, though. It wasn't just I didn't just take something and then I saw something. It's been an ongoing experience for the past few years, and this is where I've ended up as a result of all those experiences.
Uh-huh. So tell us about it.
I left. Huh?
Go ahead and tell us about it.
All right. This is what I was saying. I left in the comments earlier when you put up a post that said I met God on a psychedelic journey. You were doing your live, so I put the testimony in there. But all right. So anyway, a few years ago, I was just some guy in the world, just a regular Joe like everybody else. I was just trying to hang out, get high, have fun, whatever, what have you, right? I didn't know anything. I had a Christian upbringing. I believed in God, but I never really went to church, never really read my Bible, so on, right? So in my early 20s, or mid 20s rather, I started doing psychedelics, hanging out with people, tripping, having fun, right? And I liked it. It was a fun experience. I felt close to nature and so on. And I was getting it from these so-called deadheads, these so-called hippies in town or whatever, right? So I started hanging out with these people more. I started partying more. I started going to these festivals more, and so on, right? But everything changed one day, and I went to a festival. I went to a Tipper and Friends festival in Swanee, and I was hanging out at the tent, and I was doing whippets while I was tripping and all, which this isn't nothing I was new to. It wasn't something I was unfamiliar with. But this time it was all different, because this time everything around me started changing. The people, like as I was hanging out with these people, I always felt some kind of weird vibe about them. I always felt like there was something about these people, but I was trying to be accepted by them. I was trying to be, I felt like I found a good group of people, and I wanted to be accepted, right? But as I hung out with these people, it was like there was moments where it was like it seemed like they knew something I didn't know, but I was trying to be their buddy. So anyway, I was trying to get closer and figure out what it was that I didn't know, right? So I was at this festival, and I was hanging out in the tent, and I was tripping, and I was doing these whippets, right? But every time there was something weird happened this time, that every time I did one, the same thing would happen over. It would repeat itself. The people around me started folding themselves about, and this light that seemed like a car driving down a road would whoosh across from the tent door, and it happened 2 or 3 times at the same time. So I was trying to figure out why this was happening. It was weird, right? So one of the people that was sitting outside of the tent was holding this balloon with lights on it. And every time I would take one of these whippets, before I'd see all these people doing all this stuff around me, the balloon would kind of like morph into a shape of some sort, and it was out there in the dark. So I got instead of looking around me this one time, I decided to stare at it, because these people that I was hanging out with would sometimes say weird things to try and incur, like, intuitive sense, you know what I mean, to try and play on my suspense of like trying to figure stuff out. So they said something about the guy who was sitting out there, and I remembered that, but then like I looked at the balloon instead, right? So as I did that this time nobody folded around. This time the balloon shifted, and this time I stared at it, and then it started to move a little bit, and I stared at it some more, and it started to move a little bit. And I was like, okay, like I felt like I had it, and then there was this little red dot blinked on it, and like I got its attention, right? And then it started to move a little bit more, and I was like, oh yeah, all right, here we go, right? Like I figured it out, right? And then I felt like I know, but watch, you'll hear.
No, I'm with you.
It's gonna make sense. All right. And then like, so I reached out. I was like, oh yeah, all right, cool. And then I felt this pop in the center of my head. And then all I heard was like a crowd of people going like, yeah, like in celebration. And then a whoosh of energy went across the room. And then that's when I met our angelic brothers and sisters for the first time. That's when everything changed for me. This is how you can meet our alien brothers and sisters. Everybody started to pop out of the woodwork. It was like the veil was lifted. I could now see the things that couldn't be seen, right? And so like everybody started to pop out of the woodwork and like say hi to me, and I was kind of freaked out. I didn't know how to handle the situation, right? And then the people in the rooms around me, they tried to do like funny things, but then like this was all like I was starting to experience telepathy. You know what I mean? And so like they were all they tried to do a couple of funny things around me, and then they got really mean looking, and it almost seemed like they were like attacking me in a way, but I couldn't really, I didn't really pick up on that in that moment, right? And then everything calmed down, everything settled down, and nobody in the room wanted to talk to me about what just happened to me, but they all knew exactly what was going on. They all knew what was up. So I had to step out of the tent, so I didn't have a little mental breakdown, right? So anyways, time goes on, I keep tripping, but now that I'm at a point where I can see everybody and I can communicate, now when I'm tripping, now I'm trying to learn stuff, now I'm trying to talk more, because I met the family.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So I would get closer and closer and so on, right? But still nobody would explain anything. All the people I was hanging out with, they all still knew this stuff, but nobody would tell me anything. So I had to figure out, and this is where I started going down all these little rabbit holes of one consciousness and unity of self, and I am a universe, and blah 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 blah. All that stuff that I said, that like word for word, I had those same ideas. This is why. You know what I mean? So, because nobody would tell me nothing. And then, so I got to a point where I would start meditating during these trips, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the reality would change around me, and so on. And I was because I thought by some of the things that I was listening to that I had to like alter my DNA to elevate higher, to ascend higher, right? So that was during one of my trips, I asked this question, and when I asked this question, something, a little dot kind of like appeared before me to focus on, that I thought I had to focus on, which I didn't. But when I started doing that, everything started changing. I started seeing more frequency. I reached a point to where I don't have to dose anymore. I see energy now regularly. It's a normal thing for me now. And so more time goes on, and I'm not hanging out with those people so much anymore. There was a person down the road from me who was into the same stuff, so I started taking some doses with that person, and realized that person also kind of knew what was going on. And we would hang out in the yard and hang out and stuff, and when I would dose, everybody would come out, and I'd see everybody, we'd hang out and stuff, and that's fine. But I still wasn't quite there. I still didn't know what it was I had to do, right? I don't know, I skipped a part, my bad. That's a little further down. But and it was before I stopped hanging out with some of those people, right? Before I started hanging out with that person down the road, I was all the time, I was trying to figure out what the next step was, because I wanted to be part of the family. I wanted to be one with the family and move on further and progress, right? So on a gamble, these people told me what something I could do was to take this so-called next step, right? I had to present myself to the family as my raw self, as my raw nude self, right? So I was at my house, and I had taken a dose, and I had some of these whippets. So I laid on my bed, I took my clothes off, and I took one. And when I did this, a brother came from up above, over, kind of like whooshing across the room and pointing at the little canister I had. And then brothers and sisters all formed, all gathered up in the ceiling, and then my ceiling opened up, and they all formed a cloud, like they were the cloud. And then that is when I had the honor of meeting the Lord, when he came out and showed himself. He stepped above the clouds, and he had his hand out, and we had a conversation. He talked to me in my head. And there was no question, if, ands, or buts about it, of who I was talking to, who this was whatsoever. This was definitely God the Father. And until this point, I didn't know that it had anything to do about God. I didn't know it had anything to do about God at all. Up until that point, all I knew was aliens are real. This is crazy. What's happening? And then I got hit with that realization. And then from that point forward, I started being like gun-ho for him. Like, okay, well, what do you want me to do? Let's go. I need more answers. I need to know more of what was going on. So I would trip more and still try to figure stuff out. I thought we had to focus on creation as being like co-creators, because he is a creator and we're made in his image. And I started preaching all this stuff to the best of my ability, because I didn't really know much, but I just knew that I had the truth. I had the answer, and I had to try and get people to come this way. I started really spilling the truth about psychedelics loudly on my social medias and so on, trying to get everybody to have the experience I had so that they can be saved too. And that's when things started to get weird with the people that I was hanging out with, because then they tried to get me to stop, even though they knew all this stuff. And so I didn't quite understand it at the time, but I was just still going to do what I had to do about it. You know, I was trying to get the message out. And so now this is where I started hanging out with the person down the street and tripping with this person. The other people, they were all too busy to hang out, you know, what happened. So I hang out with this person, and in one of these experiences, I realized that this person also kind of knows what's up. And I'm like, oh, this is cool, nice. Well, I have someone to talk to about all this. This is great, right? We're hanging out. And then in one of my experiences, I started trying to move with what I felt was, with what I understood was to be light energy, the energy that I thought I was supposed to be moving with, right? Which if the energy is forceful or pushing, don't move with that. Everything's done naturally. So that's a lesson. But at the time, I thought I had to move with that energy, with that whole, hive mind consciousness thing, with us being like a hive mind organism. So anyway, I started moving with that energy on that back porch, and then I got laid down on a cushion, and I saw a street light from across the street, and it gave like a come here motion. And then I heard a voice come from over on my left saying, it's fate. Because I didn't know what the next step was. I still wasn't quite there. I was still trying to figure it out. So I heard this voice say, it's fate. And I said, okay, let's do this. And that's when everything went black. That's when I got pulled out of my body. I saw a bunch of shapes and colors and so on. And then I felt that I got placed onto a little platform that was the same cushion that I was just on. And when I opened my eyes, I was in this teal blue room. There was a light in the corner. I saw what I thought to be a brother run down and sit on the couch. There was electricity zapping everywhere. And at this point, I thought, okay, I did it. I did it. This is it. It happened. So I closed my eyes. I was really nervous. And then everything went black again for a while. And I got confronted with my lust because this is the royal family of God. And I thought, and at the time, I had herpes, and I thought that my love life was over. So I thought that, part of one of the perks I had of this whole situation was I could just, manifest whatever girl I wanted to and be like, oh, whatever, let's have it. So I got confronted with my lust in that moment. And then when I realized that wasn't happening, I had to sit there with myself for a minute. And then I felt like because I was being confronted with acting like a spoiled brat in that moment. And then I realized that wasn't happening. And then I sat there for a little bit. And then I felt like I was away from my body for too long. So then I felt this rush of fear came over me from the right side. And I was saying these things like, oh, no, I can't do this to mom. I can't do this to mom, so on and so forth, right? And then I remembered that God got me. And as soon as I remembered that God got me, I got real calm, immediately calm. And I said, that's what I said. I said, I'm good. God got me. And when this happened, I felt my spirit inflate my body. It was kind of like digital. It felt like electronic. And when I realized I was in my body, I opened up my eyes and I sat there with the person who was out on the back porch. And I was like, hey, man, I think I just died for a second. And he was like, oh, is that it? Whatever. Because, I guess implying that he kind of did the same thing already. That was the impression he gave it. So then having this understanding, I thought that I did it now. This is it. Bam, right? But I didn't. I wasn't even close. I didn't realize what that was telling me until later. I'll get into that. And then, so as I'm hanging out with this person, I'm trying to teach him stuff too, because he seems like he doesn't just quite understand it still. But he wasn't picking up on it. So I was just like, all right, whatever, no big deal. And then one day it all changed again when I was cleaning my room. Because at this point now I'm tripping 24/7. I don't need to dose. I don't need to take any mushrooms or anything. I'm in contact with the family at all times. So I'm walking around, I'm asking questions in my day-to-day life. I'm trying to progress further, right? And one day I'm cleaning up my room and I'm cleaning out my dresser and I find my last $15. And I'm thinking, all right, what can I do with this? Get some weed, whatever, maybe not. And so I either asked the family what I can do with this, or they just directed my attention. I can't remember exactly, but I was holding that $15 and my attention got brought to the trash bag and then back to the money and then back to the trash bag and then back to the money. And I was like, oh, I get it. I get it now. I see what the whole by faith thing was about. So that day I was like, all right, let's go. I threw the money in the trash and immediately I started having visions of my spirit being tested in hell, being tested with lust, greed, anger, hate, so on and so forth, right? I still didn't quite understand the process, but I knew I was in the right direction. So I was, after all this, I'm starting to preach all this stuff to like my mom or whatever. She thinks I just went crazy, but I know I'm true because I'm with contact with the Lord. He talks to me. We talk to each other. I'm in contact with the family, and I'm stubborn and I don't understand so well. So like learning was kind of tough at first, but I slowly started getting better. And so I stuck to healthy choices with food because I was told to respect the body in that back porch experience. I refused everything from everybody because I had to just get help from him, but I didn't realize that what kind of help it was. He does help through people. He does help through ministry and so on. You don't receive like real supernatural help until you experience the supernatural. Otherwise, you get helped in an earthly fashion. It's all done through a physical manner, But some metaphysical things will happen to you, right? Like the herpes I had, he cured it from me. He took it away from me. It didn't happen right away, but he did take it from me. And he showed me in a vision, because for a while I was really, really touchy about eating and having my hand near my mouth, because it was like, it was on my hand and stuff and so on, right? So I was really nervous about when I would eat, about touching my mouth, because I didn't want it to get on my face. So, and then he showed me that in a vision of me being all nervous about it, and I heard a voice go, he can stop the spread. And then I woke up and I said, you took it away from me, didn't you? And he said, yes. And since then, I haven't had an itch, a blemish, a rash, nothing. It's gone. It's really gone. So I keep progressing further, getting in arguments at the house, because I thought that I just had to wait around to go through all those trials that I was going through at night. And then I could become one. That like once my spirit passed everything, then I could just become one, and then it was all done and over with. But that's not the case, but I passed everything still. It's just, I just dragged it out by not figuring out what's going on. So then I move out of the house a couple times, like in Luke 12:22-34, consider the ravens. So I put my life in the hands of the Lord like the animals do. So I lived out there. I camped out by the river a couple times, experienced help through the ministry and so on. But I still wasn't quite figuring it out. So a couple times I moved back to the house, and now I'm back out. And then I just didn't know what the last step was. I had no idea. And then it hit me one day as I was walking to church. I have to actually die one time. This is what the actual call to sacrifice is about, the call to faith, that he won't actually let you die even in death. That his grace is sufficient enough. You don't need food. You don't need water. That's what the fasting is supposed to teach you. That his grace is all you need. So since then, I've been trying to accomplish that, and my own stupid theories has gotten in the way. I've gotten in the way of this with my own stupid ideas. But now I'm ready. Now I'm at the point, and this is what I'm working on now. And in the New Testament, and throughout the Bible in general, we're told to abide by the laws of society. So I can't just go dip into the woods somewhere and go do this. I have to go somewhere where it's open and I can freely do this. So I'm going to have to take my butt to the mountains and fast for 40 days and nights with no food or water. And at the end of this, he will call me. I will be dead for 3 days, and then I will be resurrected by the glory of the Father through Christ. And that's how you become one with the family. And when you do this, you can return. You can live out a life here. You go be anything, be anywhere, do whatever you want to be. You could be a bird per day. But you got to serve the Lord and be with the Lord and love Him. It's a relationship. It's not religion. You know what I mean? We are His children, and He does love us, and He's more than happy to give us all these things. But we also serve Him in His kingdom. So when I come back, I'm going to be sent to a lot of places preaching this same message. You won't. When you come back, there's no worry about car payments, plane tickets, passports, car insurance, health problems, whatever, so on, because you have a glorified body now in Christ, and you have a house waiting for you. This place is temporary. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. This is a place to prepare you to get ready for all that. Now, in the Bible, it preaches both. You can live in society, but it also calls you to this. So you don't have to do this. It's not mandatory.
No, I'm with you.
You know what I mean? But this is the preferred calling. And you know what I mean? So this is how you truly be free. Now, when you come back, you won't need water. You won't need food. You won't have no health problems. You can drive whatever you want, fly to wherever you want, be wherever you want. So long as you're doing it in service of the Lord. Now, and this is nothing new. This is nothing new. People have known this since the beginning. All those people, those deadheads I told you about, they work for Satan. They work for the enemy. I realized this when my spirit started going through trials. I tried to tell those people what was up when my life started changing. I was like, oh, look, guys, it's the money. You have to get rid of the money. And that's when they kind of stopped talking to me. And then in some of those trials I experienced that night, I was confronted by those people specifically that I was hanging out with. So this has been something that's been going on since the beginning, since all of this. You know what I mean? They're called the Grateful Dead because they're dead in sin. It's a big joke to them. Those are the same people that talk about philosophies and and all this universal. They try to act with all this peace and love stuff to try and pull you away from God and to be buddies with you, to distract you long enough so that when you die, you don't go to heaven.
Okay, so
it's a war out there, and it
okay,
gets
hold on, because going kind of long, but it's starting to get into more preaching, and we're not going to do that part. But would you concede that I'm not trying to take away from your experience and what you believe and what happened and your perception of everything. Although, I mean, even though to me there are certain aspects of what you're saying, that there are scientific explanations, there are societal explanations for why you saw what you saw, and there are emotional explanations for why you saw what you saw. But because of society, because of emotions, because of what you maybe have yearning for, it was your experience that you needed for you.
It's an experience that's free for everybody.
But that experience doesn't mean it's going to be the same for everybody, is what I'm saying. Can you concede that everybody is going to have a, if you were born Muslim, and if you was born in Saudi Arabia and you grew up in and around Islam, would you concede that if you had the exact same experiences that you had, that you would now be professing Allah if you grew up Muslim?
No, because like I said, I'm in contact with him spiritually and energetically. He would guide me to the word. If I was to open up any other book,
that's where I'm gonna have to stop you, because the fact of the matter is that I know personally Muslims, people who grew up in the Islamic community, Islamic countries, and they have a very similar experience to yours, and now they are professing Islam, they are professing Allah, and that who they say they are in contact with and who they met was Allah.
They haven't. If they had gotten to the point where I am now, then there would be no question.
Do you realize that Siddhartha Gautama, the Buddha, got to where you are now, and which is why Buddhism was created? A lot of the things that you said are incredibly similar to the Buddhist story of Siddhartha Gautama, who started Buddhism.
You forget the part where I say that we communicate with each other regularly.
They say the same thing, is what I'm saying.
Okay, if they did, then there would be no confusion about it. He definitely wouldn't encourage me to read the word.
There is no confusion about it. The confusion is within man, who does not honor nor respect that the fact that we are all different. There are 1,000 different types of trees. Why would there not be different ways and styles of communicating with the creator? Because an omniscient creator would not have to take 2,000 years and still only got a third of the people who've ever heard of it. So would it not make sense that there are multiple ways to connect to the creator based on how you grew up? Because if a person grew up as a staunch Hindu and they have this experience, it's going to still be based on Hinduism and not Christianity.
Okay, but
it is religious supremacy that causes people to take their experience and force it onto everyone else, in thinking that theirs is right and everyone else is wrong.
Okay, but the reason for these things is that in the beginning, everybody knew who God was.
No,
everybody knew who God was, but mankind against God.
And archaeology does not support that in any form or fashion. Just because a book says that in the beginning,
all the information you get today, anyways.
What?
You can't really trust all the man-made information you're given today. When there's a spiritual war going on,
the Bible is man-made. All the writings of the Bible were written by a man. They were not written by a creator. They did not come down descending as a golden light from heaven. A man wrote it. Multiple men wrote it. Hold on, and then
written by people who follow God.
Can you read ancient Hebrew?
No, I can't read Hebrew.
Then so you don't even know how many translations has been rewritten and words have been changed.
The scriptures have been oversimplified, but they're still the same basic message.
No, I can point you to Deuteronomy. Like when I discuss things with Hebrew Israelites, they like to go to Deuteronomy 28:68, and the way they translate, then when they read it in the King James version, it says that the Hebrew children will be sold away. I mean, that they will sail away. They translate sail to S-E-L-L, but in the actual Hebrew, that word is S-A-I-L, sailing on a boat away, that they will sail away. And then when they get to Egypt, they will then offer themselves as slaves and sex slaves, but they will not find any buyers. But if you read it in the King James, it says that they will be sold. They will sail away on boats and to be sold, that they will be captured, that they will lose in war. And then that's when they will get on the boat and sail away. But that is a huge distinction between I'm going to get on the boat myself and go sell myself. Then someone came and captured me and they're forcing me to be sold. The huge difference. And the difference is whether you can read Hebrew or not, whether you can read cuneiform or not, whether you can read the Meta-Netchers or not. Because in the Meta-Netcher, in the book of the dead, which is not actually should be called the book of the dead, but in that book, it does in the beginning there was the Ogdode, and the Ogdode was split into 4 parts, and within each 4 part, and the 4 parts had different representation. They represent the masculine and the feminine. And then the 4 parts created the cosmic egg, which birthed out Ra. Then Ra manifested the earth. He created the earth because it was in chaos. And then it goes into a whole creation. Huh? What'd you say?
How does that make sense?
In the same way, it makes sense that in the beginning there was chaos. The earth was in chaos, and the ruach of the Lord, the breath of the Lord, fluttered above the waters. How are there any waters in the beginning and the earth is in chaos if the earth hadn't been made yet? But then the earth was then made thereafter.
That's not what it says in the beginning.
Nah, actually, that's exactly what it says in the beginning. That's exactly.
It says the earth was formless, not in chaos.
No, it says chaos. If you look at the Hebrew, it says chaos. It does not, but that's what formless means. That's what the translation came to be, formless. But it was in chaos. And then how was there waters? If there was, now in English, we take it as formless to make it mean that there's nothing there. But then if there's nothing there, then how can the breath of God flutter above the waters?
Because he's God.
But there's nothing there. How can there be water for his breath to flutter over if your translation is that there was nothing there? You understand what I'm saying? Like,
okay, but in relation to that, I mean that didn't come till a couple passages later when he was talking about separating the waters from the waters and so on. It took him 6 days to make the earth.
No,
it didn't just happen.
That was in the very first part. That was in the very first part. In the Hebrew. Give you another. In the Koine Greek. Can you read Koine Greek?
I don't know Greek.
Get a translation of Koine Greek to English and John 3:16, right? This is something that Christians hold on to. John 3:16, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. Right?
Yeah, people don't understand what that means.
All right. In the actual Koine Greek, it says, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was a God, and that God was towards the God.
And that's because that living Word is Christ, and he was the firstborn before all creation.
And you know who else was the Word?
Jesus.
Ra. Ra. And when you read the Book of the Dead, Ra says that he was the Word, and through his Word all creation came. It is the same teaching. But
Also one of those false idols that God specifically
and that's exactly what I was about to say.
When he freed the Israelites.
Because you grew up Christian in a Christian environment, you will automatically reject something that says the exact same thing that came from a different culture because you grew up in a Christian environment. And that is my point. Your experience that you had is going to be based on your Christian upbringing in and around Christianity.
And why is he so supportive of when I open my Bible? Why is he so supportive of it? Why am I talking to Jesus and God?
Do you know that I just went to a Hindu temple with one of my customers. It's a beautiful temple. I mean, I wanted to go there. The architecture is beautiful, right? And you can actually go to it because you live in Snellville, right?
I live in Florida.
Oh, I thought you said Snellville earlier.
No.
Oh, my bad. Damn, I was gonna take because I live in Georgia, but beautiful temple. I thought Snellville is right up the street from where I live. That's what I thought you said. But anyway, this guy has experienced many wonderful things in his life, and he attributes it to his faith. He's attributed to his faith in Brahma. So you're saying, why do so many things, these things happen for you? But it's happening for you because of what you believe in. That's why I say I don't debate belief. Because no matter what,
it's not belief. It's not facts. It's not even belief at this point. It's my life. It's what's happening.
It's your life.
But it's what's happening. It's real.
Okay.
I'm not in my own little bubble here.
So when this other Hindu guy that I used to work next door to, when he prayed and did all his Hindu worship for his wife to get her green card to come to America and his son to be able to go to college, and then it all happened in that month of this abundance time frame for them, and it all happened in his life, real, materialized. It was because of his faith in what he believed. Now, of course, anybody else, Christian, is going to say, well, what he believes in is the devil, and what his belief is based on idols and the devil and all that kind of stuff, and it's the devil that gave him those things.
That's very true.
No, that's very true for you, because I can sit here, if I was Hindu, then I would say that it is your false belief in demons and deities that is giving you what you want so that you stay stuck in it.
Okay, well, if that were the case, then how come I was cured of a disease? How come nobody steals from me? Nobody harms me? How come I don't get sick like everybody else does? How come I have all this special treatment?
Okay, one, scientifically, because you said that you start cleaning up the way that you eat. So there's a young lady
that's changed. I eat just as regular as everybody else now.
But for a while, but according to your testimony, you started eating clean, and when you and during that time frame you was eating clean is when you got healed from herpes, right?
Some apples isn't going to get rid of herpes.
You'd be surprised. I used to know. Well, I still know her. A girl who is a amazing herbalist. She practices EFA. I have watched her heal people from cancer. I've watched her heal people from herpes. I watched her heal people from their uterus, so that she focuses on uteruses because she's into natural birth. No, don't okay. Because this is the thing. She practices EFA. You would say that she's practicing something that's demonic and all that sort of thing. She would say that you're practicing something that is demonic. You see, that's the point. No one has respect for other people's religion, for other people's belief. I can accept your testimony as your testimony. It is when you step over the boundary and start to practice religious supremacy where you now try to dictate everybody else's belief. If they have received healings, if they are always healthy, I haven't been sick since 1991 when they gave me the Marine Corps forced the flu shot on me. Ever since then, I've rejected all types of those types of medicine. I have not been sick one day since. I have always been able to open up businesses. I've always been able to make money. I have 3 great kids. Unlike a lot of people who have problems with their baby, their ex-wives, I've never had any problems with the exes. I've always had good people around me. I've never had a problem getting around, traveling, doing any of those things. What I put my body through in the Marine Corps and other things, I shouldn't even be able to walk. But I do. I have. And I don't believe in Jesus at all.
I talked to Jesus. So
you what?
Explain that. I talked to him. He's a person. He is real. I talked to him.
Historically, there are 4 Jesuses. Historically, there's 4. You cannot prove the one historical Jesus that did all the miracles. It's not provable. You can bring up Tacitus, you can bring up Younger, you can bring up all these people that people generally use, and they are all filled with holes. Josephus talked about 4 different Jesuses. And then the one time that it does have in there where he talks about a Christ, it has been proven to be a forgery, that Josephus never wrote that the Catholic Church wrote it.
Okay.
So there is no one historical Jesus. There's 4. And those 4 are gathered together to make the one historically. So there is no one.
Yeshua HaMashiach is the Son of God.
Prove it.
Period.
Prove it.
That's it's in the word. It is the word. I talked to him. He is real.
Okay, prove it. Have him talk to us right now.
You can't tempt the hand of the Lord, and you can't sit there and
are you not about to go and tempt and do 40 days of no food and no water when you know that the human now you may be, we are all spiritual beings, but you are dwelling in a human body. And
when I come back, I won't have one of those anymore.
I cannot tell you what to do in that regard. But every time somebody has tried to step into a den of lions, where every time that somebody else has tried to do the 40 days and 40 nights, they all die and they don't come back.
Well, I'm not going to be one of those people. That's the point of having faith.
You know what? I hope that you're not. I hope that you're not. I honestly do. That is my true, honest thought on that. I hope that you're not one of those people.
If I was
all I'm saying though,
why would he encourage me to go take all these steps? Why would he push me in this direction?
Why wouldn't your mind do it itself? Because of what you've been taught. You understand what I'm saying? When you do psychedelics, when you do psychedelics, it causes you to dive deeper into your mind, your consciousness. That's why a lot of the things that a person experiences is based on all their surroundings from birth to now.
It allows people to see frequency for what it is, see reality for what it is, not diving into your own consciousness. And
I agree. But see, diving into your own consciousness is how you get to be able to see it. You have to open up your third eye. That pineal gland has to open up in order for it. That's why Jesus said, that's why in the book it says, let thine single eye be clear. And if you read the Gospel of Thomas, it talks about stop trying to see with your 2 eyes and see with your 1 eye. That 1 eye is because
you got to be careful with all that, because once you start meddling with the spirit world, things start to get wacky.
Yeah, if you're living in fear or you're living in shame or guilt, it can.
No, because good and evil exists and they both want you.
I do not disagree that good and evil doesn't exist, but they're the same thing.
They're not the same thing. Both sides want you, and you got to pick a side.
Is there such a thing as hot and cold?
Yeah.
No, it's temperature. You live in Florida right now. If I brought somebody who lived perfect. Yesterday, I had a lady come in from Colorado. To her, the temperature in Atlanta yesterday at 68 degrees was hot. To me, it was cool. When she goes home and she's saying in the summertime, it gets up to 50 degrees and that's hot. To me, that's cold. There's no such thing as hot and cold. There's temperature. It all
same kind of comparison.
They both exist on the same plane. So the comparison is that good and evil are the same thing in that it's an experience of an action. It exists on the same thing. What you call is evil, others may call is good. What you call is good, some may say is evil.
There's simple. Isn't there the simple right and wrong?
There are certain moral things that should be right and wrong. Murder should be wrong.
Exactly. And that's the point.
Murder should be wrong. But murder is on the plane of maintaining life and taking life.
That's looking at it objectively and from an animalistic view. There's
just looking at it based on the laws of the universe, how everything functions. Everything functions on a
Yeah.
pole. The hardest part is identifying what the pole is. Once you can identify what the pole is, then you can make the vibrational pattern to the right or to the left. And there are a million degrees in between.
It's not right or left. It's center. It's centered.
It's centered? No, because your book tells you not to be lukewarm. Either be hot or be cold for the Lord. Does your book not tell you to be not be lukewarm?
But from someone who has experienced all this, evil comes at you from the left and the right, and God works with you in the center as just you who you are, how you are naturally. So there's no energy to follow the left or right direction because it comes from within you.
I'm going to give you that on a frequency pattern. On a frequency pattern, at the top, there's 1. At the bottom, there's -1. In the center, there's 0. And that is the plane line of peace. So I can give it to you in that regard. You understand what I mean? If you've seen frequency, you should understand that. Like you say, you see frequency. Like I can see, I got all the lights around me, and I can see light patterns. Right? Yeah, I understand. I understand what you're saying, and I connect with you when you say that you can see frequency without getting on mushrooms or without taking a hit. Right? I get that. Yeah. I see people, and when people walk in the door, I can feel and see their frequency when they walk in the door. Some people call it an aura, whatever it is. But frequencies go in a pattern of up and down, right? And back up and down. All frequencies go up and down.
I guess they can,
No, that's how frequencies go. They go up and down. How quickly they go up and down determines the color, determines the movements, the vibration. At the highest
and higher frequencies are righteous frequencies. The lower frequencies are the more sloppy, nasty, dirty frequencies.
Right. So the
higher frequencies are cleaner and righteous and holy frequencies.
So if the higher frequencies are more righteous, why you operating at 0 instead of operating at 1, at +1?
I'm not operating at 0. I'm saying that the Lord works from within you and evil comes at you from the right or the left. I used to think that the left side was the good side and the right side was the bad side, so on from the way I used to feel it with my body. But it all comes from within. I learned to not look at energy around me, but pay attention to just the energy that's coming from within me. Everything around me is, not is external. You got to focus on the internal.
Okay, if you're focusing on the internal, then why is it wrong that a person who believes something differently than you, but they're a good person, they're a righteous person, they just believe it comes from a different source as far as what their version of the creator is? That's why I constantly, if you've been on my page long enough that you have seen me say your version of the creator, that their version of the creator is what causes them to allow their inner God and goddess to function on the higher frequency. For them to have piety, for them to have love, for them to have kindness, for them to turn away from negative things. They're living that life. But their source is their version of God. Why is it impossible for them? Because they wouldn't respect if they didn't like yours, if they said yours was evil, that yours was idolatry, that yours was the devil, their version of the devil. How does that make you feel about it? You feel they're wrong, right? And they shouldn't be talking about you like that.
Yeah, as someone who's walked around in the spirit world and met angels and God and Jesus, I wouldn't appreciate that very much, no. But
so why do you do it to them? Because Siddhartha claimed the same thing. He said he met Durga and he was confronted by thousands of demons. And then he asked who would testify for me, and he touched the ground, and all the hosts of the universe testified on his behalf. And then he became the Buddha. So you will nullify his testimony, but you want other people to accept your testimony.
Because I talk to God and Jesus. Jesus is a person. He is real for real. So if he's real, that means all of this is real. And it means that people can have nice ideas. It's not impossible for people to be nice and be righteous and have high vibrancy with themselves and so on and so forth. But the point is, the sad truth is that even all those nice people, they live a good life. However, if you don't have Christ, it's a wrap. It's over with. You know what I mean? That's a tough pill to swallow.
So my ancestors never heard of your Christ. So they all going to hell?
Everybody. everybody knew about God, even before Christ, and then after Christ, everybody knows about Christ.
Okay.
People waged war against God, and now people have turned away from him. That's why there's so many beliefs. That's why there's so many denominations, because people have turned away from him and decided to go live in their own way.
So my ancestors, from my mother's side, some of them come from the Yoruba and Igbo tribe. They practiced Ifa back in the day, before they ever was heard of a Christ. They called that God Odamare. They call the supreme God Odamare. All other deities are aspects of the Odamare. So what you're claiming then is that Odamare was their version of the same God that you worship.
But that doesn't matter. They got the wrong idea. Still, you did.
So you're saying that your God purposely sent the wrong idea to my ancestors?
No, what I'm saying is your ancestors suffered from the choices of their ancestors.
How did they suffer?
Because they were living. The people who came before them made the choice to turn away from God and live in their own way. And now there's people in the jungles coming up with their own ideas.
They weren't coming up. They had those ideas were present long before an Adam and Eve story, sir.
Even while God spoke to people, other people had their ideas. This you can tell with the story of Baal and so on. You know, he said, "How long will you limp between two options?"
You're missing.
People have always come up with
you've taken these trips. You've taken these trips, but your mind has not opened as far as it needs to open. Okay, because if your mind was open further, then you would understand that your creation story goes back 6,634 years. That's how far back your creation story goes. My ancestors have been around longer than 6,634 years. I don't know. Do you know your ancestors, where they're from?
I got family from Germany, and other than that, I don't really know.
Okay.
I haven't looked back that far. But
that's fine. Your Germanic tribes ancestors go back further than 6,000. They go back around 7,000 to 8,000 years, is what we found archaeologically for your ancestors out of Germania. It was called Germania back then. All right. They had a concept of a supreme deity as well. But your ancestors go back long before then. And for thousands of years, they never even met the people in the Levant. They never even knew those people existed. And here's the kicker. Your idea of your version of God didn't appear until around 1600 BCE. The Sumerians, the Akkadians, the Kemet were around longer than that. Did you know that your entire Genesis story is a borrowed story from the Sumerians? That just as you have excuse me?
How can you trust that?
How come
all these other ideas and all this other archaeological this and that, everything else makes sense except this. Everything else you trust except this. Everything else makes sense except this.
You have to understand. When people say to me, you trust it, I don't trust that the story of Utnapishtim and the flooding and the 6-day flood that killed everything on the planet, I don't trust that story as a valid, true story that happened all over the world. What I'm saying is that the story was written before your story, and that the people of that people group that became the Hebrews borrowed that story from them. But what I'm saying is that I'm not validating that any of those stories happened. I'm not validating that Gilgamesh actually existed and that he went through his 12 trials. That he.
What you're making it sound like?
No, because you're not listening. If you were listening, you would hear me. No, if you were listening, you would hear I'm talking about dates and time. That you're trusting in a time frame of a book that comes after other things had already been written. You're trusting in that your book is saying that God spoke to the whole world, but there's absolutely no evidence that your version of God spoke to the whole world. But if your mind was open and you actually accepted that your God is an omniscient God and that there are variations all over the world, that your omniscient God would have spoken to the people. Each people group would have derived a different version of that speaking, of that understanding. Because what is true is that all those groups maintain certain levels of similar morality.
Okay, and if that's true, if that's the case, then why would he have sent his only son to be sacrificed for our sins, and for us to put all our faith through him, if we can believe in him through Buddha and Hindu and so on?
Because the sacrificing son was a popular story in that region of the world.
See, but then what do you have to support that? Why do you trust that? Why does that make sense?
The book of, I did not say it made sense as a believable story. What I'm saying
then
is
why
that,
are you so ready to refute it?
Because if the Greeks already had a sacrificing son story, the Egyptians already had a sacrificing son story, other people groups in that Levant Mediterranean area already had that story. So it was a popular story to tell of a sacrificing son.
Okay, but then what do you have that really is concrete about that makes that true? You're going on. There's so much misinformation out there.
None of them are true. Is the point. None of them are true as far as what I'm validating them as being true. What I'm saying is that these were stories that people told in order to explain and to create their religions. I don't need a sacrificing son. You don't need a sacrificing son. The only sacrificing son is you. You create and manifest your salvation, your heaven, your hell. It is not something that comes outside of me. It is something that is already in me. And I don't need to be sacrificed. I don't need nothing to sacrifice me, because there is no hell. There is no one place that if I don't follow this book, I'm going to hell. Because if that was the case, then what if the Muslims are right? If the Muslims are right, then you go into Muslim hell.
Yeah, but you understand that Satan can't parade himself around as an angel of light. Therefore, it's very 99.999% possible that Muhammad met this Gabriel, like he said, and that was Satan, not Gabriel.
It is not 90. It is not 90. It is only 99% possible if you are coming from a Christian perspective that already has a predetermined location. You already have a predetermined landing spot, so that's the only reason why it becomes this 99% possible. No, it is no possibility. Period. The thing about it is, it's only possible because that's what you believe, and you want to enforce your belief over other people. Because Muslims say that you're worshiping Jesus is going to send you to hell, and they say that it.
I worship the Father.
And do you know that before Constantine began to control Christianity in Rome, the majority of people in Christianity at that time frame did not accept the triune God, and they said Jesus was just a prophet, that he wasn't the son of God, and that they believed that this planet was actually created by the demiurge, which would be your devil, that created the earth and has tricked everybody into believing in it with the Old Testament stories. Now that was about 90% of the Christians during the time frame from 0 to 325. Constantine sided with the Orthodox Christian because they were also Romans and they followed Roman law. That's why he sided with Orthodox Christianity. But they were in the minority. But when they had the backing of the Roman army, they were able to conquer. And in 480, when Theodosius proclaimed Christianity was going to be the only religion in Rome, he massacred 50 million people in order to convert everybody to Christianity.
Not all Christians were good people. I'm not saying they were all good people.
But do you realize that if that had not happened, you would not be Christian?
Okay, but saying a few bad people can't make the whole group look bad. You know what I mean?
But you're saying that, look, I do understand that thought process. But when you look at the history of religions have created more hell than they've created anything else. When you strip, now the only time it has validation is when you strip away all the cultural stuff and all the man-made power dynamic stuff and get to a real understanding. And if you just look at the point that if you're saying your God is omniscient, then your God was visible to everybody, then who are you to say that how the Hopi Indians translated it for them is wrong, because that's how they translated it, because that's what spoke to them. Just like you're saying, how God has spoken to you is how he has spoken to you, because you couldn't get it when you was growing up, right? As a kid, you were going to church, but you weren't getting it, right?
Well, no, I was just too young, and I was just sitting there, really, you know what I mean? So, like, naturally, that was the God I believed in. So when I met the Lord, that I just gravitated towards the Word. But he proved me, I never asked him who he was, and he's very happy with the way I've gone about it. And he guides me to Scripture, he guides me to the Word, he guides me through ministry.
And you know how many Christians would say that you are being led by the devil because you found God through using psychedelics? But they say that they found, God. Wait a minute. They say they found God and they speak to God on the regular, but it is through just their belief in there and being imbued with the Holy Spirit. They would say that you're talking to the devil.
They would, and I've been confronted with that. But I know who I'm talking to. I know what's going on.
But they say the same thing.
That people have a different idea about all this, but I know what's going on with me. I've brought this to the church, and churches are not very open about this. They're not very accepting about this.
I'm not trying to diminish your experience, my guy, but I'm just hoping that you can understand that religious superiority is what creates wars, that creates hatred, that creates division. And what you're doing is religious superiority, because you're saying that everybody else is demonic and going to hell and all these things.
Yeah.
And you're the only one that's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I know this because of the things I've experienced in my life, and that have put me to where I am today.
And I know what I know because of the things that I've experienced in my life, and it's brought me to where I am today. And I'm in a pretty great place, surrounded by great people.
I'm sure you are.
Yeah.
I'm sure you are.
And there is nothing negative about it.
I'm sure it seems that way.
No, it doesn't seem. See, that's what I'm saying. How do you ever expect to win anybody over when the first thing you're going to do is tell them how wrong they are? That it only seems that way.
It's possible for you to prosper in the world. It's possible that while you think you're manifesting, you're putting all your focus into something and then jumping on opportunities. You think about something enough, you're going to put yourself in that cycle. That's just how that general function works. You're not manifesting anything. You're dedicating yourself to something. It's a difference. And you're going through the process of how that works.
Oh, that's how manifesting works. That's how true manifesting works that way. You got to put some action behind it. And I put action behind everything I do.
But it doesn't. It's not manifesting if it's already predestined.
I don't believe in predestined.
All your theoretical futures already exist. The one you're living in depends on the choices you make. All your future possibilities already exist. So the one you're living in is the one you choose to have. You're not manifesting anything. It's already there waiting for you. It's because you choose to walk that way.
No, I don't agree with that. And that's fine. We don't have to agree at all. That's the thing that's the difference between you and I, is that I don't have to force everybody to agree with my stance in order for them. No, you do, because you're saying that. See, I don't say if you don't agree with me, you're going to hell. That God won't. That God is not with you. That what you actually have with you are devils and demons and all that sort of thing. I don't tell people that. I don't believe that. But what you're saying is that if you don't agree with what I'm saying, then you just have demons and devils that, they're supporting you, they're giving to you, but that's what you really have. I don't tell people that. I respect other people's their belief, their experiences, their religion. That they
can give you anything in the world you want. They can give you the life you want, but you got to be careful of who you're talking to.
See, and you consistently prove my point, dude. How your book says, "Judge not, least by you will be judged." So the same judgment. Yes, you are. Christians people who believe in the Bible like to say that because I'm just expressing to you the truth, I'm not judging you. The moment yes, you are. When you tell me that I'm going, when you are deciding
I'm not deciding anything. It's already been decided.
So you're not deciding You're not deciding that people who practice Ifa are going to hell.
I haven't made that decision. That decision was made before me.
Right, but no, you're actually making the decision because you're basing it off of a book that cannot be validated.
Why wouldn't it be validated? Why is it so strong?
Show me your proof. Show me your proof of heaven. Show me your proof of hell. Show me your proof of the afterlife.
You keep going on your little ayahuasca treats and you'll figure it out just like I did.
Bruh.
That's how it happened for me.
Bruh,
I didn't start going to church. I didn't start reading the Bible. That's how it happened for me.
Sir, I'm 51 years old.
That's how I got here.
I'm 51 years old. I've been doing that kind of thing for 30 years.
All right, well then pay more attention.
No, and see, that's the other part. That's the other part of religious superiority. We could do the exact same thing, but unless I agree with you, then mine is wrong, and I just need to keep on going. Just like people come in my comments, you need to keep studying. You lack understanding. You don't understand. You need to keep studying. You need to study some more. No, what you're really saying is you need to study until you agree with me. And what I'm saying is, you go study, you go do your psychedelics, and then wherever it leads you, brother, is your journey. It's for you. It doesn't mean it's for everybody else.
It all leads to the same point. You got to pay attention.
It may lead, and I agree. It leads to the same point, but it's not the same pathway. Where do you live in Florida?
Fort Pierce.
Fort Pierce. Shit. Fort Pierce is by Naples, right?
It's 2 hours south of Orlando.
2 hours south of Orlando.
Yeah.
So how many different pathways can I take to get there from Atlanta?
I'd imagine quite a few.
So why can't there be quite a few pathways to get to the same creator, to get to the same ending point?
Because there's only one creator, one way. There's many tools to get to the same creator, but there's only one creator, not many beliefs to the same creator.
I can agree that but see, that's the thing that you're missing from not studying other religions. Because at the end of the day,
there's one God.
At the end of the day, they profess one God.
Wants to be worshipped. Then why would he be accepted by so many other ideas?
Excuse me, I didn't catch what you said.
If he wants to make himself known and he wants to be known as the one true God, then why would he be worshipped as so many different gods?
Because maybe the test of your belief and your faith and your goodness is that you don't go around tormenting or pushing other people or forcing people into your belief, but allow them to have theirs and to get there. Maybe henotheism is the way that everybody should be, which is the way that the ancient Israelites were in the beginning. They were henotheistic. Well, actually, they was polytheistic, and then they became henotheistic. Henotheistic means that you believe in your God, your version of God, but you respect everybody else's versions of God, and that their version of God, of how they get to the creator, is correct for them. Now, and this would include your Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. All of them were henotheistic. When you read the Bible, you realize they were henotheistic because they respected everybody else God, but believed in their God was for them.
Well, then at that point, it comes down to just you can't really tell nobody nothing because everybody's going to have their own ideas anyway. So,
well, you can have a discussion, and here's the thing about discussions: you can have a discussion with someone. Oh, let me give you a better example. There are on multiple occasions, many times, you will have a person who's professing Christianity, and they're out here and they're committing crime after crime after crime. Then they go to prison and they find Islam, and then they change their life and they become a person who worships God, right?
Okay.
Conversely, you have a Muslim who's committing crimes. I know of one specifically, and then he goes into prison. He comes out and he's Christian because he found Jesus in prison. All right.
Okay.
Now you'll celebrate that, but you won't the other. But is it not possible? That makes it possible that people can get to the same spot, become the same type of person, but they took a different path.
Okay. Well, here. How about this? As you keep going on your experiences, so on and so forth, why don't you inquire deeper knowledge and ask him to reveal who he really is to you, who he really is, period.
Okay, you got to come with something different than that, bro. You realize I've been getting that for 30 years, right?
Okay, but I'm talking about with your elevated experiences when you go take your little journeys and so on and so forth.
And what makes you think I don't do that with my little journeys? What makes you think that I don't spend days meditating?
Maybe you're not asking the right questions.
And no, what you're demonstrating, once again, because I don't get the same answer you get in the same way you get it, then I must be wrong. That what I'm receiving from the creator cannot be from the creator because it doesn't agree with you. You are putting yourself over the creator when you do that. Every time you do that, no, yes, you are. And let me be like you. Maybe in the next, as you sit and meditate and you go through your journey, maybe you should sit with the creator and ask the creator, how do I not put myself over you? By inferring to other people that I'm greater than you, because I know better than you do as to what you're doing for other people and how you're working through other people. There's a little person on the island of Venezuela right now, never heard of your Jesus, never heard of Allah, never heard of any of them. But whatever way you've spoken to them, creator, I'm going to accept how you spoke to them. Maybe you should ask the creator to open your mind to that, because evidently you need to get back on taking some trips so that your mind can open some more. Now, does that sound right to you? It sounds like I'm being an asshole, being condescending, being sarcastic.
It sounds like you're speaking from your perspective of understanding. That's what you're speaking from.
And that's what I'm saying. Everybody is speaking from their perspective of understanding.
But
you should. But if you truly
the same type of elevated experiences, then we should both reach the same point.
But it doesn't mean we reach it.
Same teacher.
But it doesn't mean we reach it the same way.
That's fine. That's fine if we don't reach it the same way. What I'm saying.
But you demonize anybody for reaching it a different way.
If I'm at the finish line, if I made it to that point, then you got to do what you got to do to reach that same finish line.
And did you? Okay, I can accept that. I got to do what I got to do. Which the way I do it is not going to be the way you do it.
And I'm just giving advice because I already went there. I'm past that part.
Okay. I just want you to go forward, understanding that you give your advice to people, and that's fine. If they accept your advice, great, because maybe your way is their pathway. But if somebody else can get to that finish line and it's a different pathway, accept their pathway. It doesn't mean you have to believe in whatever pathway they did. But you accept that they got to the same creator, because at the end of the day, is that not the goal?
You forgot the part where I said I used to have all the same ideas. I used to have all this sense of unity consciousness and I am a universe. At one point, I thought I was the only real person on the planet. I've been out there, man.
And that was not the pathway for you. That wasn't the pathway for you.
I went through them all because they're not the right one. No, I had to figure it out.
It wasn't the right one for you.
Oh, man.
You all manning, but like I said, that's why I did a video the other day about religious superiority, because that's what you're doing. You're saying, yes or no, is your religion superior to everybody else's religion?
It's a relationship, not a religion, first off.
Okay, is your relationship superior? It's still a religion. No, Christians, people have been trying to separate themselves. Do you realize people have been trying to separate themselves from religion, because now that we have more information, people realize how jacked up religion has been over the centuries, all the destruction that has came. So now everybody's getting into this, it's relationship and I'm spiritual, right? Okay, you're just running away from a title that you no longer want, because now we see all the destruction that those religions have done. So now you want a new title, but when you want to stay in the same mindset, all right? So it
is a religion, but it's more relationship than it is the spiritual practice.
So can you accept the relationship that other people have?
I could if it was the right relationship.
So you do have religious superiority. So you believe that your religion, your relationship is more superior than everybody else's.
Yeah.
So you have religious supremacy.
It's not supremacy.
Yes, it is.
It's what I know for a fact.
You can't know it for a fact. Facts can be proven and replicated.
I knew it before I started walking this way.
You have a belief. The more I
walked this way, the more it became concrete.
Sir, you have a belief. You do not have a fact. You have a belief. A fact is that this is coffee. A fact is that this is a cigar, because I can prove it to you. I have it. It's right here. I can light it and smoke it. That's a fact.
Yeah.
You're communicating with God as you speak. All of that, that's a belief. And then it's only a fact to you. It's not a fact to anybody else.
It's a fact that I met him face to face. It's a fact that he's led me this way.
So you've seen the face of God. You saw the face of God. Huh? You saw the face of God. Your book says that if a person sees the face of God, they would die.
Yes.
Did you die?
To themselves.
Did you die?
Maybe who they were, but not actually. If that were the case, I'd be dead right now.
That's what your book says, though. If a man sees the face of God, he would die.
To himself, yeah. To die to themselves and become one.
No,
to become Christ.
That is not what that means in the book. That is not. That's when people take and try to make some kind of doctrine out of it, and their mistranslation. That is not what it means in the book. It means you will literally die. This is why in the book Moses had to turn his back.
Okay.
It means you literally die. But even though it contradicts itself earlier, but it means that you literally die.
Okay.
Because Abraham claimed that he saw the face of God. Jacob wrestled with God and saw the face of God.
Yeah, and at that point, I became a completely different person. So yeah, I did die to self.
No, you didn't. That is not what it means. It means you will literally die. Like physically, you dead.
Okay.
In the ancient Hebrew, it just means physically dead. It does not mean metaphorically dead. It's dead.
I guess, man. Everybody's gonna have their ideas, so I guess it is what it is. Everybody's gonna do their own thing.
That's all. That's actually all I'm looking for out of you, is to drop the religious superiority and say, you know what, this is the way the Creator has communicated with me, and this is the message, and this is the message that I have from the Creator. And maybe my mission is to spread this so that those who can connect the exact same way I did, that we can tribe together and then we can vibe together. But I'm going to be gracious as God is gracious to talk to everybody around the world in a way that they can vibe with him. I'm gonna be gracious enough to respect that the Aboriginal people in Australia, who's been there for thousands and thousands of years, long before any Europeans came there preaching Christianity, that was how the Creator spoke to them. That for the people in Japan and China and the South Pacific and Africa and the Americas who were speaking with the Creator in whatever manner the Creator was speaking to them, and whatever relationships they had with the Creator, that I'm going to respect those relationships and not be like your ancestors and come and force it through whips and chains and guns or economics. That I'm gonna respect it.
You know what's kind of bittersweet about the whole thing is that when you know for a fact that what you're living is with the truth, and you have to watch people around you be so committed and so dedicated and talk to your face like, yeah, man, yeah, this is great, and you're standing there watching people drown because they're committed to their own ideas.
Then if you feel like you're watching people drown, then you truly don't respect. You still don't respect the idea that the Creator can speak to everybody and everybody can have a relationship with him. It just doesn't have to look like yours. I don't look like you, right?
But
you got fair skin.
Man. He's a very proper man. He's got code and ethics, and he doesn't want. He's made a way. He's made a set way for him. If he wanted all those other things to be accepted, he would have made it clear, but he didn't.
No. It was
then everybody would be on the same page, and everybody would know this.
It was made clear. It is people who put it in a box, who made it where this is the only way. Your Bible has went through thousands of retranslations, thousands of edits, and each edit and retranslation was based on whoever was ruling at the time frame. When Josiah and Hezekiah edited the Torah, they edited it based on them being the ruling class, being the rulers of that time. When the Council of Nicaea was formed, it wasn't formed with the guy down the street. It was formed with the ruling class of Rome. When Theodosius did it, ruling class of Rome. Every ecumenical council was the ruling class of Rome. In the Americas, it was always the ruling class that dictated the different denominations. It has never been the guy on the street. It has always been the ruling class. And that ruling class has always made it to fit whatever their cultural perspective it was for that day.
Can you imagine being so committed to an idea and then going to your grave with it and then waking up at judgment to be terrified because you're wrong?
No, because I won't be. That's the thing about it. I won't be. I would not be terrified, for one. Because let me tell you something. This is how committed I am to the power of my mind and the knowledge of the power of my mind and my spirit. Is that
I see it. You out there getting it.
If you are correct, then I'm not terrified. I got questions. Look, I got questions.
But how many questions are you going to ask before you get thrown out? You know, it's not going to be a happy meeting. It's not going to be a happy encounter. It's going to be more like, hey, you had your chance and it's over.
Dude, I'll be if the God of this Bible is correct, I'll be walking in heaven just like you.
If you didn't believe in him and his son, what makes you think you can step into his kingdom?
I believe in the creator. I don't believe in that. I don't believe in it because I know more about that book than you do. I know more about how it was created than you do. I know more about the cultural influences.
You know it cover to cover more than I do, but I know the message of it that everybody seems to be missing out on.
Actually, I know the message of what's real in that book. You know the message of the conquerors in that book. What you know is the message of the conquerors of that book. You're missing the divinity within that book. I just like in my video yesterday, I said that there is divinity within the book, but most people miss it because they're focused on all the cultural biases and the power play dynamics that's in that book. But if you recognize that the divinity within the book and you strip away all that BS, then you come out of that book thinking differently. You rise above what that book has, what it has in it, because that book is not the book of the creator.
All right, we'll check. All right, well, how about this? It didn't. Well, in order for it to work, I guess you kind of have to have your set idea on who the creator is. But it didn't all get real serious for me until I put that money away, threw it in the trash, and put my life in his hands and started witnessing myself going through trials.
And as I said, that's your journey.
Proof? You want real proof? Don't depend on that money. Depend all on him and see how things unfold.
See, here's the thing. How it goes. This is what you misunderstand. Just because I own 2 businesses, I don't depend on the business. I don't depend on the money. I don't.
Yeah, but you depend on that money to buy you stuff. You depend on it to pay your rent. You depend on it to drive your car. So on and so forth.
I don't depend on it. I use it. I use it, but I don't depend on it. I use it. I know. I give unto Caesar what is Caesar's. You just earlier said that you recognize that you want to go and do your euthanasia thing, right? You're up in the mountains for 40 days and 40 nights. You said you needed to die, right? Yeah. So you can be reborn again in 3 days.
You're resurrected like Christ. And John 2:18, he says, destroy this temple and I will raise it in 3 days.
I understand that. Hold on, wait a minute. I got to answer this phone. Smoking cigar. No, he'll be in about an hour. All right, no problem. Okay, so shit, that threw out my train of thought. Look, what was you saying at the end? What were you just saying?
I said that in John 2:18 it says that destroy this temple and I'll raise it in 3 days. That was a parable to this resurrection I'm talking about. Because the temple he spoke of was his body, and we are the body. Now, in 1 Corinthians 15:12, it also says that it's preached that Christ Jesus was raised from the dead. So how can some of you say that there's no resurrection from the dead? For if there's no resurrection of the dead, then Christ himself has not been raised. And if Christ himself has not been raised, then our preaching is useless, and so is your faith.
Okay.
For some reason, all the pastors in the world seem to look past this because they believe that the Old Testament doesn't apply, or that's, certain things, or it's just the New Testament and the covenant, and all you got to do is believe, and so on. But the Word of God stands firm forever. So all his laws, all his commandments, whether it be old or new, they're all still his law.
So what if historically I can show you where the idea of the temple being destroyed was actually the Gospels copying what happened when Titus entered Jerusalem? That Titus entered Jerusalem and destroyed the temple.
That's not what I was talking about.
No, hold on. He destroyed the temple. And that the whole idea of the temple being destroyed and then raised back up again was based on that event. See, people want it to be an exact copy, but it doesn't have to be an exact copy. All it is they take a little bit of something and rebuild it into something else. You see,
that's not what he said in 2:18. That's not at all what he said. His disciples there thought they were talking about a temple, but then literally in the next sentence it was, but the temple he spoke of was his body.
Right. I'm with you.
Not a building.
I'm with you that as the story is told, it will begin to be told about his body. But none of that was written until later on. After. Okay, and then here's the thing. And like I said earlier, about an hour ago, the Greeks, the Romans, the Egyptians, the other people in the Levant already had stories of how their people were saved by a dying and raising Messiah. Hell, Hercules is a dying and ascending Messiah. We just see him as a cartoon character. But no, if you look at the actual writings about Hercules back in the day, who had his 12 trials and his followers and all that, he was a real dude, a king of Argos, that they then later on legendized. But it is said that he was birthed as the Son of God, and that through his trials, he saved the people. And then when he died, he ascended up into the heavens. Hercules is an ascending Messiah.
All right, well, I'm gonna go ahead and grab some food and go on about my day.
You know what? It's about 1 o'clock, and I'm supposed to be open right now, so this is a good time to stop anyway. But look, I do appreciate you on here, but you do also understand why I say I normally don't do this kind of thing, because it goes in circles.
It's because everybody's standing. Everybody's so set in their ways. So everybody's speaking from their point, and nobody's trying to look at the other point. Everybody says, no, this is it. And then the other guy says, no, this is it. And then it just doesn't go nowhere.
It doesn't, that's why I don't do it. Because it's not. But every now and then it does. I will say this. Every now and then somebody says something to me and I'm like, you know what? That was good. Some of the things that you said, like if you was listening, I accept your journey. I accept that how you are traveling. And I even told you, I accept it to the point where spread your message. There are others who would join you in your message. The only thing I ask is for you to respect other people. And for those who want to join you.
I respect people. I don't have a problem respecting
you can't
people.
Claim that you respect people when you tell people that they're wrong and they're going to hell.
That's not disrespect, that's concern.
No, that's disrespect. Because I showed you earlier that if a Muslim person came and told you the same thing, you felt disrespected. You didn't like it.
Will tell me.
And you don't like it. So if you don't like it, why would you do that same thing to somebody else?
Because I know the truth.
And they know the truth.
They think they do.
And you think you do.
I know I do.
No.
For a fact.
And they say the same thing.
Yeah, but they haven't
had your experience. They've had their own experience.
But even if I didn't have the experiences I had, you can feel the truth in the word, and you can feel it in the relationship.
Do you know I get the same statements from everybody of every other religion? See, that's the thing. That's the openness of my mind, is that I recognize that everybody's going to have their experience, have their relationship. And if you're fine with your relationship, I tell people to walk in your relationship. If being a good Muslim, Ifa, Christian, if it keeps you from killing my kids or robbing my store, keep doing it. If it makes you feel connected to the Creator and that you're going to ascend to heaven, that it clears away your lust. You said it cleared away your lust, right?
Yeah.
If it clears away your lust and any other negative thing that can keep you bound to this poverty of the body, keep doing it. The difference is I accept that people can keep doing it. Huh?
Like you were just saying, somebody could rob your store, somebody could come break in your house, murder your family, so on, and whatnot. I live by the faith that I walk. None of these things happen to me. I don't have these problems.
I don't have those problems.
But there's a reason that I won't have these problems, and you can potentially have these problems.
You can potentially have the problem of somebody coming up and robbing you personally. You could potentially have the problem of somebody coming and killing you or kicking your butt.
When you wear the full armor of God, you can't. It's impossible. It doesn't happen. I'm living proof of this because it's how I live now.
So every Christian,
I don't have a house.
You don't have to have a house to be robbed. I can come and take your shirt right now.
What?
I could drive down to Fort Pierce, Florida, find you in the library that you're in, and take your shirt.
You won't. I know you won't.
Well, because I'm not going to waste my time to do so. But is it possible?
Because it won't happen. It will not happen. You can put a gun to my head right now, and the gun will jam. And if you feel ballsy enough about it, bring yourself down here with one and try to test it out.
See, that just shows you don't know me. I wouldn't come down there with a gun because guns are not as reliable as a knife. I'm a Marine. I use a knife instead of a gun.
You wanted to test my faith, and I'm willing to prove my faith to you. So
yeah.
Do what you feel like you got to do.
But I'm not. But see, I do recognize that we live in the land of Caesar, and I'm not willing to go to jail just for you to test your faith.
I live in the land of Christ. This ain't Caesar's.
No, earlier you said that because you know you live in America, that you cannot go and do your 40 days and 40 night fast without dying. And it being illegal because you have to live under the rules of the government that you were given. You said that earlier. You got to live under the rules.
That's in the New Testament.
Which is why you said you have to go up to the mountain somewhere to be able to do this thing. So don't tell me that I live in the land of Caesar, but you don't, but you do, because you admitted yourself earlier that you have to go to a place where you can do it legally. Did you not say that?
Yeah, but that's a matter of respect. That's not. I could go into
So what's the difference from me not wanting to go to jail?
No, I can go into whatever woods I want to. This is God's earth, and it's Christ, and Christ rules this.
That ain't what you said earlier.
But Christ Himself said, "Respect the laws."
But that is not what you said earlier.
If He told me to respect the laws, I got to respect the laws.
Then, if I'm respecting the laws, what's the difference? Me not coming down there and taking your shirt is me respecting the laws, right?
But me having faith that you won't shows that you won't. You can come down here and try all you want to. I bet you don't. I bet you can stand right up to my face.
I said the only reason that I wouldn't do it is because I wouldn't. One, it's a waste of my time. Two, I'm not going to jail. That's why I said I wouldn't do it.
Because you ain't gonna pull no trigger.
I wouldn't even pull a trigger anyway. I ain't trying to sound arrogant or nothing, but I don't use guns like that. So I wouldn't even pull a trigger.
A knife or whatever. You cannot harm me, no way, shape, or form, period.
Okay.
It will not happen.
Okay. That's what you believe. That's fine.
It's what I live, because none of that happens to me.
And I hope it never happens to you.
It can't happen to me.
Okay.
That's my point. Because I live the way that I live. Because I don't live, because I threw the money away and I put my life in His hands. And
there's a reason why I've never been robbed. I've never been stolen from. I've never been in a situation where somebody was holding a gun to me. I've never had anything taken from me.
It can.
No, it can't. There's a reason why I haven't been sick since 1991, because I decided that I'm not going to be sick. And then I take proper action. See, that right there, that laughter and that dismissiveness, that's that religious superiority I was talking about.
You're gonna me watching somebody being really committed to a fantasy. But I mean, that's to each their own.
And see, there you go. You call what I do is a fantasy because most of it is based on natural law that's provable. Yours is based on characters who've never existed, who's done things, who claim things that are historically inaccurate, and you call me and mine a fantasy. There's a reason why you're in the library right now. When you walk around that library, the Bible is in the fiction section. It's not in the nonfiction section. There's a reason why it's in the fiction section.
Not in this library.
It's in the fiction section. Every library in America puts the Bible in the fiction section or the reference section. That's the only place a Bible is ever in the American library system because that's the way the system is set up.
It's not how I see it in this library.
That's not how you want to admit it because you just want to be right now. But
no, because it might be that reference part, but not fiction.
It's in the fiction. Go to a bookstore, Barnes & Noble, it's in the fiction section. But anyway,
okay, but that's the world opinion.
Hey man,
tell me that if you are the universe, if you're this all powerful being, why are you living the life you're living? Why can't you live whatever life you want to live? Why can't you be any person you want to be?
I never said that I never said that I am the universe. I never said that I am all powerful. But what I do understand is that I do dictate how my universe. Everybody lives in their own little universe. You are having right now is the only time you and I in universes have collided, and we are in a shared moment. 10 minutes from now, our universes will be completely detached from each other. You'll be experiencing things, and I'll be experiencing things, and your perspective of the world will be yours. Hold on, let me finish answering your question. I decide, I make a decision for every moment that happens in my life. Now, there are certain limitations that we have because we are not the creator. We have the ability to create to only a certain degree that the matter plane of existence will allow us. I cannot magically just take the molecules of air in my hand and reform them into an apple. I don't have the know-how to do that. I don't have the vision to do that. But I have the ability to know how this universe works to go buy an apple. What?
Why don't you make your universe a utopia? Why is there so much crime and hate and evil in your world?
Because I don't. No. My universe is fine. What I don't control is the universe of everybody else's around me.
But they're not in the same universe. But they're in your universe.
No, because I'm not. Somebody's being murdered right now. Are you present? Am I present? Are we there? We're not there.
No.
So I can't control what's going on in those 2 or 3, 4 people's universes right now because we're not present. You have to be present in order to make changes in your surrounding universe.
But if everybody is in their own universe, then the people in your universe are in their own too.
Yes.
Then how can you interact with those people?
There was a guy who was very disrespectful to my lady the other night here in my lounge. I shut that disrespect down and corrected it because it was happening within our moments of the shared universe. When that dude left, he's living his own life, doing his own thing, having his own experiences, manifesting his own universe by his actions and decisions.
But living in the same world you live in.
But it's all on the same planet, but it ain't all happening to the same people. Okay. And if you are so powerful and connect to your God, stop all the suffering that's going on in the universe. Then you stop it. You stop it.
Law of natural order.
Huh?
It's not my place to step in like that.
Oh, but you're telling me that it's mine.
Because everybody has free will. It defeats the purpose of free will.
Isn't that just what I just said? That's pretty much what I just said.
No,
that everybody has the ability to make the choice to dictate what their universe is going to be. Everybody has that opportunity.
If your universe,
see, you're
make it how you want it.
You're taking universe as meaning a creator who's out creating an entirely separate universe than the one that we in right now. What I have said earlier, if you were listening, see, this is where your religious superiority comes in because you don't listen. If you were listening, I said that we are all within the creative mind of the creator, the created universe of the creator. We are similar to, we can co-create to a certain degree. but it's all within that universe. I cannot go outside of that universe. If I could go outside of that universe, that would make me greater than the creator. But since nothing can go outside of the creative mind of the creator, then you cannot. In the same way that if you wrote a book and you created characters, those characters can never be more than what you created them to be. They can't go outside of your creation, because for that time, for that situation, you are the creator. Spider-Man can never force or go outside of what Stan Lee created. He has to always just be Spider-Man, and Stan Lee dictates what happens to Spider-Man. Stan Lee can get only so much. So you're in a somewhat similar situation, except unlike Spider-Man, who is a one-dimensional character in a book, you are a living, breathing, eternal spirit soul that is existing in this third dimensional matter plane of existence right now, and you have the ability to make changes within the mental universe of the creator, which is why you have free will to do so, which is why you experience all the things that you experience, and those experiences are for you. And you also have the ability to try to force it on other people. But a good God-following, relationship-having person would not try to force it on other people or try to diminish what that creative experience is happening between another person and the same creator. You would respect it because you respect the creator for all its creations.
Well, then I guess we're all going to have one big party after this, huh?
I don't know, because ain't nobody been to heaven and came back. People have claimed it, but they haven't.
My wife has done this. She's come back.
She went to heaven and came back. She got proof.
She's alive. She's here.
She had a near-death experience. As a
no, she did what I was talking about, and she came back, and now she can be whatever she wants and do whatever she wants.
Really? She did 40 days and 40 nights with no food.
Yeah, well, that's the way I believe it's to be done. I haven't been told specifically what but I know she did it. She died and came back and ascended and returned.
How did she die and come back?
But this is I've been led to this point to where this is the only way. So yeah, she did this.
How did she die?
The same way.
40 days and 40 days, 40 nights, no food, no water.
It's the only way to do it.
And she came back.
Yep. And now she can be.
Was it
a bunch of times she wants to be? She can be whatever she wants to be, walk wherever she wants to walk.
Was it documented?
She's just waiting on me to catch up because I haven't done it yet.
Was it documented?
No, it hasn't been documented.
So then it's hearsay. So you expect me to take your word on it, right?
No, it's not take my word on it. It's the fact you don't know her personally, but I know her and everybody else.
You're expected. Were you there?
Everybody to figure out, just like I figured it out.
Were you there?
It's not.
Were you there?
Huh?
Were you there?
No, but I meet her all the time.
So you weren't there, so you're taking her word for it. So you have actually no proof that she actually did it for 40 days and 40 nights, that she died and came back.
I've been guided to this 40 days and 40 nights. However she did it. I think that's the way she did it.
You think, exactly, because you don't know. Because you weren't there.
The point is, I know. But the point is, she did it, and I know she did it.
How do you know she did it?
She did it?
Because she says so.
Because in my trials, the trials I go through at night, she's there all the time.
That's hearsay.
Yeah, it is hearsay, but
right.
It's facts.
That's not facts. Choice of words. That is not facts.
That's belief. Life. It's happening.
That's belief.
It's happening. It's happening. She's real. She did all this.
I could tell you that I did it. I could tell you that I fasted for 40 days and 40 nights.
You could? I wouldn't have any way to dispute that.
Exactly my point. You have absolutely no way to dispute or to prove that it happened.
Why would I lie to you?
Because people lie all the time.
But that wouldn't make me a real good Christian, would it?
And most of the stuff in the book is lies. Stories fabricated, taken up by other people, told of other people's story, and then regurgitated in a different way to fit the culture of the day.
If you say so, man.
No, it's not a say so. Now that is an actual fact. It is a fact that has been proven by geologists, by archaeologists, and by ancient linguists. It is a fact proven. There are certain styles of writing during each time frame. Just like right now, there are when you look at movies, you can look at a movie and you can tell that movie was made in the 80s. That movie was made in the 90s. Not because they have to tell you, but just the way and the style that the movie was made, you know the era that movie was made in because it has a style to it. There are styles of writing, styles of pottery.
Technology has gotten better over the years, yeah.
Then there are styles of writing, styles of pottery, styles of doing almost everything that is culturally based. And when you understand and look at the Bible historically, you can see the different styles that are superimposed into it.
I guess.
No, it's not a guess. That is what's a fact. But when you just claim, and hey, if your wife did it for 40 days and 40 nights, that's fine if you choose to believe it. I choose not to. Now, if she had documented it,
different people in public.
What?
I know it because I ran into her as different people in public.
You ran into her as different people in public.
Yeah, and then that whole recognizing energy thing, recognizing who's who. That's a part that I was learning.
And where is she right now? Where is she right now?
Always right here. But in a way that I can't, not a way that I can see physically, but I can feel her. I can see where she's at.
So your wife is with you right now, but nobody can see her but you.
Nobody can see a lot of people that's around right now.
I'm just asking.
That's that whole behind the veil thing. The veil's been lifted. I can see and feel a lot that other people can't. You can, as you said.
Okay, you know what? You're absolutely. This has been a good discussion. I appreciate you coming on. Like I said, man, do what you do. If it makes you a better person, makes you have more connection, then keep doing what you're doing. One day, I hope that openness, that connection, allows you to respect other people. But you have a great day, man. All right. And to everybody else, I gotta open up these businesses. So remember, we do this every right now. The scheduled dates are Tuesday and Thursday for spiritual things. Wednesday is relationship based conversations. I might start adding more days if just to come in on a Monday, but I'm not going to promise Monday and Friday to add on. But if it happens, it happens. But I'm not promising those days. The hard scheduled days are Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. This is why I don't. As people ask me to do debates all the time. This is why I don't do them. Right. And I'm sorry, I was not able to read much of any of the comments. Arrow, I see you donated to the channel. I appreciate. Damn boy, I appreciate that. Avery, I appreciate your donation to the channel. Oh, for my patience. I don't know. Only thing, I wasn't asking him to change his beliefs. I never ask people to change their beliefs. Just be open to recognizing that some of the things you may believe may not be accurate. And just to recognize the difference between if it's a belief and if it's a fact. If you believe something and you believe it, keep going with your belief. As long as it keep you from jacking up stuff. But I ain't gonna lie to y'all. I was tempted to go get in my car and drive to Florida. But I ain't going to jail for none of y'all. I'll tell you that right now. Going to jail for none of y'all. Tone said I met God as well. I was the God that I met. And when you do a psychedelic journey, that most oftentimes is the absolute case. You are meeting the God that is you. You are not meeting some other deity. If you want to go, I am concerned. I ain't gonna lie. And I know he doesn't want my concern, and that's fine. And so I will, if he says he doesn't want my concern, I won't be, because I do, just like I ask people not to pray for me, I respect that. 40 days and 40 nights, I've seen too many of these people go and they try to step in these lions' dens and they try to do these things and they wind up dying. Now, if that is his wish, that is his wish. And I'll let him have it. I would just never advise anybody, and I just at least had to say to him, I don't think that's a good idea. But, you know, everybody has the right to, as long as he's not hurting anybody else, as long as he's not trying to Jim Jones people and give them the poison Kool-Aid, go do what you do. Go live how you want to live. Do whatever makes you physically happy, spiritually happy, emotionally happy. Go do your thing. Trying to force somebody else to agree with you should never be your thing. You know, that's why I tell you guys that all the time. I'm not trying to force anybody to leave their religion. I don't even understand how half the time people who are in religion come to my channel. You should, just like when I'm scrolling on TikTok, if I see something that's somebody preaching, a pastor, I just keep going. I don't stop. I just keep going, because that's not for me. I'm not their audience. So I just keep going. But that's my problem. I expect other people to have the level of what's the word? I usually know this word all the time. I expect everybody to have the same level of respect that I have for other people, and oftentimes I'm disappointed. You know, I'm not gonna, unless somebody put like the thing up, like prove to me that God doesn't exist or that Jesus is not God, then I might hang around that channel. But when I see the ones that are like trying to preach their message, I let them have it. You know, you do what you, and if other people join that and they like that, then that's cool with them. Okay, now, nope, he went over to the post office, to the mailbox. But I said I was going to get off this thing because I do have some other work to do. I have to do my daughter's taxes. So we are going to Kennedy drop him off at the forest, give him a hug, and walk away. Kenneth, you going to hell. You're going to hell for that one, Kenneth. You're tempting God. Y'all, Kenneth, you're a bad influence, sir. You're a bad influence. It says in the Bible that you don't play with your life. Jesus referenced that when he was tempted by Satan in the desert, right? When he told him to jump off the thing, I think is what he said. Pull a Carol and tell him to just look at the pretty flowers. Oh man. I mean, it was a good display of how people get so arrogant and that religious supremacy just comes through. And that people can go as far as to say that I see my wife, she's right here next to me. Yeah, most of the time we're going to put somebody like that in the hospital and say that they're having delusions. I'm not saying that there aren't entities around us that we can't see because they're vibrating on a different frequency than we are. I wouldn't say that at all. I would say that people are, that there's a very good possibility that there are other entities around us that are vibrating at a different spectrum, and we cannot, our vision won't allow us to see them. Our two-eyed vision won't allow us. You know, I have certainly seen movements, but I don't know what those movements are. I ain't got there yet. But it's something to say if he on 40 days, 40 nights, and then he believes he's going to be resurrected after the third day. He might get to go. He'll find out if there's a heaven or hell in the way that he believes in it, and he'll find out where he's at. You saw a golden orb and no one has believed you. Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. It does have to be documented. You want people to believe you, you got to document this stuff. I believe you that you've seen a golden orb. All right, he thinks he's Jesus but denies his word. Exactly. Because you're tempting your God when you say that. But he believes that's the way because he's seen his wife. And I know you guys couldn't, only the people on Facebook could see his face, but there was a lot of twitching in his face. And I'm not a doctor, so I don't know what all that twitching was, and his right eye kept winking. So I don't know, but some of the most brilliant people have been called crazy, kooks, and all that sort of thing. So I try not to be dismissive to people when they are saying things like that, because some of it may be valid, but a lot of it, I don't believe a lot of it ain't. And based on what he was talking about, I just don't think 40 days and 40 nights. The human body is just not built that way. It ain't gonna take 40 days and 40 nights before your body dies. And you go more than a week without water, and then you're not even getting water from food, you're gonna die long before 40 days. Oh, y'all was telling me to hang up on him. Yeah, I should have ended that a long time ago. Um, but that's why another reason I don't do base, I get caught up. But for real, I gotta go. I got, because I depend on the dollar. Uh, you depend on that dollar. Wait, but you won't go kill yourself like you want to because you following the laws. But yeah, we got to follow the laws of the land we're in. But I'm following the laws of the land we're in by making sure I pay bills and don't come down and take your shirt. Because I don't want to go to jail because I don't want to do, it's the laws of the world. Laws of the world you live in. I'm obeying what's the writing that's in your book. Oh. When a person dies, is their transition to another dimension is based on their transition to another dimension is based on their belief. I agree with you 100%, Ruby. Is that what that says? Yeah. Ruby Nelson. I agree with you 100%. I believe that whatever your true, but I think it a little deep to me is whatever your beliefs are, but it's your true beliefs to me. Like that belief that you really don't want to admit belief, which is why that pastor, we started this out, I was talking about that pastor who said that he died and he went to hell, is because his true belief is that he doesn't deserve heaven, that he's going to go and he went to hell because that's what his true belief is, right? Um, but yeah, whatever that's why I was saying earlier, and I'm really going to end this. That's why I was saying earlier that if you truly want to have a divine life here on earth, you want to have heaven on earth, and you want to have heaven on whatever the hell happens afterwards, then you have to be able to eliminate your fear, guilt, shame, your need for vengeance, retribution, the lies that we tell ourselves, and truly understand your true, authentic self, that part of you that you shy away from, and recognize that everything in the universe is connected. We may not ever figure out all the connections, but everything is connected. There's no such thing as luck, chance, or miracles. And then be willing to release any earthly attachment, any physical attachment that keeps you bound to everything having to be the way that you want it to be, you desire for it to be. Like that, all religious books are earthly attachments. All relationships to everything on this planet is an earthly attachment. It's not that you can't enjoy them. It's not that you can't be in love, that you can't have kids and love your kids and family and have relationships and enjoy food and enjoy party and good time. And not that you can't enjoy those things, but not have it so attached to you that rules you over your consciousness ruling you, your spirit ruling you. You should never do something outside of what makes you truly happy. If alcohol is ruling you, it's not a good thing. If money is ruling you, it's not a good thing. If a lot of people stay in abusive relationships because they're letting the connection, the attachment to relationship rule them. So when I say let go of your earthly attachments, that's what I mean. Anything that is ruling you, that is coming from outside of you. And you know what? Let me say inside of you, because there's a lot of people that let insecurities rule them. They let depression rule them. They let, you know, all these, like my man said that that lust doesn't rule him anymore. That's a good thing. We let all these things rule us. Nothing should rule you to the point where you make dumbass decisions because you're trying to hold on to that thing, whatever it is. And with that, my good people, I will, if I just pop up and do another live on any other day, I'm here. I just happen to be there. But if not, I will see you guys on video, and I will see you guys definitely live on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. So y'all have a great day. Remember, you have to free yourself to be yourself, because your greatness is non-negotiable. Good journey, good vibrations. And we are going to press all the buttons. All the buttons. We pressing the buttons. Oh, but before I go to my YouTube people, again, I thank you guys. You are the most supportive people, most supportive than the Facebook and the TikTok people. You're the most supportive. So I appreciate your donations. I do want to grow this channel beyond anything else that I do. This is how I want to live my life. This is what I'm moving towards. This is what I'm putting energy towards. Is creating it where this is what I do. I'm not in here. That we can go and we can have meetings and meetups, and we can take trips to these ancient sites and learn and discover together. So please share the video, share the channel. The financial supports are very welcome, and I'm very appreciative of them. So y'all have a great day, and I'm gonna start doing more special things just for YouTube coming soon. So have a great day, and I'll see you guys. See you later.